strengthen alumni relations. And with that, I also would like to give the interim executive director, Jim DeBoom, the platform for a couple of minutes to make an introduction.
It is with great pleasure that I introduce our new executive director for the Alumni Association, Cindy Stillman. I'll get it right. All I know, I call her Cindy all the time. I've been 12 months as the interim, and she's going to be here for a number of years. Let her explain what she's been doing.
Thank you, Jim. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you for allowing us a moment. For the last 25, 30 years, I've worked in the private and nonprofit sector in administration, marketing, and fundraising. And I am so excited to move forward with the Board of Trustees and Dr. Kinnaman, who I've met in a different capacity, to make sure that the street fair continues to be as successful and advantageous to the alumni as it has been in the past. I would like to indulge me for a moment. I'd just like to thank Jim on behalf of the board and employees. I've only been in the job 2 or 3 days, but I've really drilled down and seen what he's been able to accomplish in the last 12 months. It makes my transition so smooth, and I'm grateful personally.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
I would also like to update that we have concluded our dialogue. For the most part, I say that because it seems like there's always a little nuance to that, but with the State Chancellor's office and with the district regarding our MIS FTS reporting. So we're glad to be bringing that to closure. I want to thank Vice President Howe for her leadership on that and bringing that to closure. We need to celebrate, don't we? So I'm going to make an announcement, and then I'm probably stealing somebody's thunder. CSEA statewide awards. So each year, the state of California awards a recipient as the CSEA recipient of the year. And this year they have selected Lotto Jimenez as CSEA representative of the year. So congratulations to Lotto. I don't see him.
Very good.
And that's the public update. Thank you.
All righty. Okay, public comments. Persons who wish to speak to the board on any item may do so at this time. There's a time limit of 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes per topic, unless further time is granted by the board. Your comments will be timed, and you will be asked to stop speaking when the timer sounds. Please understand the board welcomes your comments, but is not able to respond to those comments. And we have received some requests. And I'm sure I'm going to mess up on the pronunciation because I can't quite read it. Steve Dossel. I'm sorry, Steve. I should be able to recognize that, but it was in the back of my head, so I apologize.
It's my only second time I've been at a board meeting in 30 years, so there's probably no reason why I should recognize my name. We've given some paperwork to Angela that we would like to have the board have an opportunity to look at, and I'm just going to read what I have to say. I have a series of students.
Excuse me one moment. Could you please sit down and speak into the microphone so we can have it to listen to again later?
Got a series of students that are going to follow me, and this is with respect to the Tutor Academic Skills Center. So they'll be following right after me. Anyway, like I said, I'm not much of a public speaker, so I'm going to read what I have to say about that facility. One more thing. like, I wouldn't come here unless I thought something was going to be done that was going to have a serious negative impact on the classroom. Like I said, this is my second time I've been here in 30 years. Anyway, replacing the faculty positions in the Academic Skills Center with classified positions is not a good idea and will result in less students being successful in getting through their math courses. The current faculty have the ability to monitor the tutoring process and improve the tutoring that takes place in the facility. With no faculty in that position, the tutoring will quickly go downhill. In addition, they currently do a great job supporting all the programs on campus that have specific or special tutoring needs like DSPS, ACES, TRIO, DSPS, and the Eastern Valley TRIO. As an example, I've taught statistics and liberal arts recently, the last couple of years. It's quite difficult to find a good tutor in those classes because generally we like to have the students that tutor those classes take them and grade out with an A or a B, as well as, probably have more experience. The problem is that frequently the students that take those courses take them the last semester at College of the Desert and transfer on. Sean and Matt have done a great job helping me find resources for the kids to be successful. In other words, good tutors that can tutor those classes. As my colleague said, the classified folks just don't have that kind of a knowledge base. They do a great job with the logistics, but don't have the background and training to handle the pedagogical aspects. And so we really think it's important that those certificated people are still present. In math in particular, it's very important for students to have a resource they can use outside the classroom when they get stuck or are frustrated. The ASC Center provides that resource and will not help student success to make the changes that are currently being suggested. In fact, it's a little frustrating because I'm a math faculty and probably, besides the students, have the most to lose. Really wasn't consulted about these changes, feel very strongly that they're going to be negative. So it was very poor communication on my part as far as between the faculty and the administration on this issue. Another aspect about tutoring that's often overlooked is how tutoring helps the tutor, not just the tutee. I know it manufactures teachers. I was first introduced to tutoring, teaching myself as a tutor. I can think of several local high school math teachers. Anel, who wrote for me a testimonial, and Sue Ortega come to mind immediately. They're local math teachers that went through our program and started out as tutors. I'd like to encourage you guys, you board members, to actually go in there and see the facility. It will inspire you. It inspires me. I go over there every day for coffee. I'm an old football coach, and I can look around and see kind of what the camaraderie is that's in there. Chris Nelson did a great job when he was in there. The camaraderie was excellent. When you have good camaraderie, good things happen. I know I'm just about done here. Anyway, it's not quite as a dynamic because of the uncertainty of the future. And a lot of people have said that, they're maybe looking for new jobs, but there's still a lot of energy, and I really, encourage you guys to get in there and see for yourself what goes on in there, the energy and the good vibe. I've heard about compliance issues, and if that's the case, is it really absolutely necessary to have no certified staff in that facility, to meet the compliance issues? I think that the administration and the folks in the facility need to get together and talk about if that seems to be an issue. Also, if there's some kind of an issue about inappropriate tutors, that's a human resources deal, okay? They're in charge of vesting people. That doesn't have anything to do with how the programs run. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Okay. No, I'm done. That was it. I appreciate giving
Receive this, and we will go through that.
Okay. I'm gonna be. I'm sorry.
Pardon?
I just had a complaint that our broadcasting is not really good today. Maybe we need to turn up the sound a little bit. Is that possible?
On the microphone there?
On the microphone.
His
That's what I think
microphone.
it is. I think it's this microphone. It's not coming across.
Is it not going through the speaker system over here?
The person couldn't hear our public speaker, and it's
Oh,
off
okay.
campus and on campus is so different. I don't know why, but it is.
Because he was standing?
Maybe.
At
I
the
don't-
beginning,
that could
maybe.
be.
That could be. Okay, so please sit down in front of the microphone. We do want to be able to hear you, and other people that are watching this want to be able to hear you as well, okay? Brill Garcia?
Good morning. My name is Aurel Garcia. I am a current student here at COD. This is my last semester. I'm graduating in May, finally. When I came here, when I started, I scored into the lowest math because I've never been good at math. In fact, I hated it. So I started in Math 70. Then my professor told us about the math lab. So I went there and I liked it. Having all this help, you just raise your hand and they will come to help you. That's amazing. I spent there a lot of hours. So thank God I passed Math 70, Math 60, Math 54, and Math 40. Right now, I am in Math 13. And I know that I would have not done it without the help of the tutors. Sometimes they would get stuck too, so they would call Sean or Matt. They would always come, okay, what happened? So they would come and help me too. So I never had to repeat any of these classes. So I honestly don't see how the math lab would continue to impact the lives of students like me in the way that it did to me. So without the help of the professional and passionate math lovers, the students wouldn't be able to pass these courses, and therefore they would take longer to graduate. And education is expensive. If we go out there and look for a tutor, it will cost money. Books are already expensive, so I will encourage you to think about it. We as students need the math lab and the passionate people who work there for us. Thank you.
Sheila Koenig.
Good morning. My name is Sheila Koenig, and I am an ISA for the math department. Previously, I worked as a student math tutor for the Tutoring and Academic Skills Center. I worked for both Matt Ruzicka and Sean Smith. Recently, I was told that there is a movement to fill their positions with classified workers. I think this is a mistake for several reasons. Since most of our tutors are students with their own academic schedules and of varying math expertise, holes in coverage of all math courses develop. It is at these times that Matt and Sean shine. They will voluntarily help the student who needs assistance when the appropriate student tutor is unavailable. Number two, our math tutors are often science and math majors and not required to take liberal arts math 13 or statistics math 14. Coverage of these two classes is often spotty. There are only a few tutors trained in these courses. Therefore, students often rely on Matt and Sean. Number three, because the college is required to change either the edition of the textbook or even the textbook every 3 years, a math problem can be presented several different ways depending upon the text. Tutors may not know the current lexicon. Matt and Sean act as translators. Both men, this is number four, both men excel at solving the student's computer frustrations, whether it involves proper data entry or worse. Number five, Sean and Matt are adept at many of the sciences and frequently will cover when science tutors are absent. Number six, last but not least, both Sean and Matt are liked and respected by their tutors. They are in-house teachers, mentors, and cheerleaders. I feel we need to keep these positions filled with people that can perform all of the above skills. Our college puts the student's success in a preeminent position. Tutors are students, and as such, strengthen their own knowledge by teaching others. They need expertise backup.
Elia Kane. If I mispronounce someone's name, please just correct it at the microphone. I apologize in advance.
Okay, good morning. My name's Elijah Kane, and I'm a math tutor at the Palm Desert Tutoring Center. Sean Smith and Matt Ruzicka and the other faculty have impacted us as tutors and are an integral part of the tutoring center. What makes them such an important part of the tutoring center is not only their leadership skills, but their deep understanding of the subjects that are being tutored. This gives the tutors and students a valuable resource to use for particularly difficult or ambiguous questions. Their expertise also allows them to effectively assess tutors' strengths and weaknesses with specific subjects and pair them with the proper student for one-on-one tutoring sessions. I have personally become a better tutor and student because of Sean and Matt. During our staff meetings, they will both lead activities and discussions that involve various strategies and theories that are used to strengthen our tutoring skills. Since they are knowledgeable in math and sciences, they are able to give us advice and strategies that are tailored not only to our tutoring subjects, but to specific classes and professors as well. This is only possible because of their knowledge of the subjects and experience with the professors at College of the Desert. Thank you.
Thank you. And I really apologize on this one. Zogi Asurua.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Omozuki Asirua.
Thank you.
I'm an international student from Nigeria. I would say my stay here has been lovely, especially meeting wonderful professors, tutor coordinators, students, and tutors. However, I'm aware of the changes ongoing in the college, but I would not ignore that which would affect the Tutoring and Academic Skills Center. Many of us do not have English as our first language. Foreign students need help. We are taught with a different curriculum, and it's overwhelming attending classes on our first arrival here. The Tutoring Center helped me overcome this fear. That's why I'm able to speak to you people today. I first heard about it through Professor Benesh. I remember wondering why she referred her students there for academic help. I would not forget the joy I felt after Nikki, a tutor, went through my English essay with me, making sure I understood why corrections were made in some of my sentences. Neither would I forget how happy other international students feel when they know the tutoring department, with its dedicated tutor coordinators, are willing to support and lead them towards their goal. I'm not here to dictate on the kind of changes the school administration decides to make, but the effect of these changes on the goal of students from other countries and the community. The college has students from over 15 countries. Should the door of success be closed on us because of administrative changes? Would these changes cause the Tutoring and Academic Skills Center coordinators to be replaced with classified staff with no experience with different cultural students? What if these coordinators are made classified staff in order for them to continue their good jobs? The Tutoring and Academic Skills Center supports professors by providing help to students outside the classroom. I believe I have spoken from the hearts of other international students. It would be my pleasure if what I have shared with you today is used to make your decisions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Danny Hawk.
Hello, my name is Danny Hawk, and I'm a student, math tutor, and SI leader. Over the course of 2 years, I have taken great joy in watching and helping students to thoroughly understand difficult concepts and progress through their classes successfully. Together, we tutors make the task center a place where students want to return, gain confidence, and obtain resources they require. This is all due to the guidance, instruction, and support of our tutoring coordinators. Our tutoring coordinators have graciously imparted their knowledge of various subjects, teaching methods, and positive influence. They work hard to ensure that we know what we're doing and have someone to turn to when we don't. They are our leaders and support group. When there are not tutors available for certain subjects, they take over and help those students who would otherwise leave unsatisfied and, most importantly, still lost in their subject. They guide us as role models and also look out for our well-being and career paths. I became an SI leader due to Sean's recommendations. Knowing my career path as a community college mathematics professor, Sean felt I would gain valuable experience. He was correct. As an SI leader, I reported to Matt for math, and he gave me excellent methods in constructive criticism that I have since effectively used as a tutor. These insights and supports would not be possible from someone who does not have some sort of teaching experience. Due to their teaching experience and knowledge, our tutoring coordinators have helped us improve as a team. Through bi-weekly meetings, we tutors have developed greatly as a support group for one another when tutoring. More importantly, we all know that we have Matt, Sean, and Jen to rely on for input in our subjects. This knowledge alone is a comfort that gives our tutors more confidence to do our best. Although I graduate this May, I look forward to continuing my position as a tutor in the fall, hopefully under the excellent leadership the Task Center currently possesses. The Task Center is a successful program that makes COD an appealing first stepping stone to university. This is due to the hard work, dedication, and experience of our faculty, staff, the lab liaisons, and tutoring coordinators that make everything possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn York.
Hello, I am Lynn York and have been an adjunct faculty at COD since 1998. Also an instructional support assistant at ASC, a substitute, and I graduated here in 1990. I have been dedicated to our students throughout my career. I am here to advocate the need for the faculty to remain at TASC. It is my experience that faculty help navigate and guide students through their studies, and student success depends on the faculty-trained support staff. I'm amazed that this discussion about removing faculty from the Skills Center in a student success-oriented college is even on the table. Your proposal lacks understanding of student needs and a true appreciation of faculty expertise. Obviously, there's a need for staff. Key employees are critical, and they depend on faculty input, coordination, and communication, which cannot exist remotely. Removing this asset from our students will close doors, leave our students without knowledgeable assistance, and discourage them from pursuing their dreams. How good is a car without a battery? Our students are the vehicle, and the faculty positions at TASC energize students. At some point, I pray with all the testimonials, statistics you have in front of you, and the honest concern presented to you, it will be obvious that TASC must continue to be an asset to student success and the college. Faculty help facilitate the positive learning environment of TASC, and our students deserve to have faculty support. You are in a difficult position, attempting to appreciate the determination and dedication our students have, knowing that students are facing subjects currently beyond their comprehension and yet are willing to enter a strange environment, admit a lack of knowledge, and sit for hours until the light bulb appears and they get it. By the way, faculty live to see that light bulb. Thank you for listening, and I hope you recognize the severity of this proposal.
Thank you. At this time, would Stephen Spurgeon please come to the microphone?
Good morning. I'm Stephen Spurgeon with my colleague Roberta Kay. We're both members of the Board of Learning and Retirement. Good morning, Dr. Kinnaman, Mr. O'Neill, members of the board and staff. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come back to you today to say thank you. We wanted to do that in person. You have reached out a hand to us in partnership to make learning and retirement a continuing part of the, if not curriculum, the spirit and the mission of College of the Desert. We're so delighted to be going down this path with you. We just recently received a memo of understanding from you, which is wonderful, provided to us from Pam Hunter, who we'll continue to work with, and thank you to Pam. It's a terrific basis for us to start our negotiation of what will be possible for us to have a mutually beneficial program that will advance so many needs and so many opportunities for College of the Desert to expand into a different part of our populace here in the desert. Now behind me, you will see that Roberta and I are backed up by every member of our Board of Trustees, and I'll ask them to wave their hands. What you don't see is the almost 800 students that we represent who also express their appreciation to you this morning. So I think that's significant for many of the goals and objectives that the college has in reaching a full population of continuing education in this desert. So with that, I say thank you. I turn it over for Roberta for a few words.
So there's that clock again, but I have
You have an additional.
I have an
5 minutes
additional,
added
so
on to that.
I'm relaxed. I just wanted to add to Stephen's comments and to say how much we are thrilled at our continuing partnership with you, COD. We love the association. We've gotten so many positive responses from our students who are just as thrilled with us that our relationship is going to continue. And I want to say a special thank you to Mary Jane Sanchez Fulton and to Aurora Wilson for visiting a couple of our classes recently. And I would like to take the opportunity to invite any of you who would like to come to our classes next week. It's our last week of the semester here on campus. And if you would like to get a schedule of when those classes take place, any of you are welcome to visit and see us in action. We have several different classes that are operating throughout the week, next week. So again, I want to say thank you on behalf of the board and myself and the students of Learning and Retirement. Thank you so much.
Okay, at this time, could I have Crystal Glassman please come for your public comment?
Good morning. I want to just read a statement on behalf of CSEA. I know this topic was touched on earlier, but I think it's worth noting again. I'm very happy to announce to you that this year's CSEA 2015 Member of the Year is our very own College of the Desert Chapter 407 President, Mr. Laro Jimenez. We are thrilled with his selection for this prestigious award. He has worked so hard for all of us in the chapter and at COD, and he's remained calm and astute in the face of great stress and challenges. He is smart and aware and always working towards the good of the students and staff and the community at large. Congratulations are in order as we celebrate this honor with him, and we invite our trustees, including our student trustee, to come celebrate with us as we honor Laro at our California School Employees Week celebration and lunch on Wednesday, May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a presentation by Keenan for the statewide educational wrap-up program, safety award plaques to the district and construction management organizations for 2 projects. If I could just have you come to the microphone.
It is from Keenan to provide awards for safety for our applied sciences and athletic facilities. So thanks, John.
Well, first, thank you for allowing this brief presentation on behalf of the statewide educational wrap-up program. Today, we are actually recognizing 2 projects that had exceptional safety records. The first is the $14.7 million athletic facilities project. The second is the $7.3 million applied science and agricultural science project. The athletic facilities project experienced only 2 workers' compensation claims with the loss ratio of 2.77%, and the applied science and agricultural science project had 0 claims, 0 workers' compensation claims with a 0.00 loss ratio. To put that into perspective, in the construction industry, workers' compensation claim loss ratios normally run between 50 and 60%. So that is one heck of an accomplishment. In addition, both these projects did not have any other losses in the coverages for general liability and builder's risk. So on behalf of the board, So on behalf of the statewide educational wrap-up program, thank you. And I'd like to present these safety awards. We have Gilbane Building Company who's here to accept their plaque. Accepting on the company's behalf is Mr. Matt Lulling. He was the project manager for the Applied Science and Agricultural Project. And he's also accompanied by Mike Sudkamp, who's their regional safety manager, and Mr. Mateo Torres, sales and marketing specialist. Gentlemen, please come on up and just stand to my right for now. And I'm just going to guess that the chairperson, Becky, will be. Did it switch on me?
Talk.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
We rotate.
Okay, I guess I was
We
looking
rotated.
at. Okay, Doctor, would you like to accept the awards on behalf of the college? And if you don't mind, we're going to take a brief picture as well. Oh, okay.
So John, do we expect a rebate with our outstanding performance?
We're negotiating right now.
Thank you.
Right there. Wrap up.
I think we should.
Okay, at this time, we'll have the reading of the proclamations. National Library Week will be read by Andrew Johnson of the Library and Learning Resources. And I believe someone else was, Danielle Kroll was listed on the agenda, but Andrew's going to read. Is that correct?
Good morning. My name is Andrew Johnson. I am one of the librarians, and I'm representing the library director, Daniel Kroll, who is unfortunately ill this morning. The proclamation reads as follows: National Library Week, April 12 through April 18, 2015. Whereas libraries create potential and possibilities within their communities, campuses, and schools, whereas libraries level the playing field for all who seek information and access to technologies, whereas libraries continuously grow and evolve in how they provide for the needs of every member of their communities, whereas libraries and librarians open up a world of possibilities through innovative programming, resources, and the power of reading, whereas librarians are trained, tech-savvy professionals providing technology training and access to downloadable content such as ebooks, whereas libraries support democracy and effect social change through their commitment to provide equitable access to information for all library users regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status, whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District at its board meeting of April 17, 2015, proclaims April 12th through April 18th, 2015 as National Library Week. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees encourages all members of the College of the Desert community to take advantage of the resources and unlimited possibilities available at your library. Signed, the Board of Trustees, President Kinnaman, and Student Trustee Eleanor Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll have Classified School Employees Week proclamation read by Crystal Glassman, the CSEA Secretary and part-time gallery assistant.
Hello. Okay. Whereas classified professionals provide valuable services to the staff and students of College of the Desert, whereas classified professionals contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment, whereas classified professionals employed by College of the Desert strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contributions of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and the Desert Community College District, and declares the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2015 as Classified School Employees Week at College of the Desert. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll have Day of the Professor proclamation read by Denise Diamond, the English professor. Is she here? Oop, we'll come back to her. How's that sound? National Nurses Week will be read by Rachel Cole, College of the Desert nursing student.
Hello, I'm Rachel Cole. I'm in the fourth semester for nursing students at College of the Desert. The proclamation for National Nurses Week. Whereas Florence Nightingale was the founder of nursing as a modern profession, and whereas registered nursing is the largest healthcare profession, continuing to work to improve healthcare, and whereas nurses provide many types of healthcare services, including bedside nursing in hospitals and long-term care facilities and research institutions. And whereas state legislators, Congress, and individual groups within the nursing profession constantly seek ways to provide care for the expanding healthcare needs of the American society. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District that May 6th through May 12th, 2015, be designated as National Nurses Week to honor the dedication, commitment, and tireless efforts of the nation's nurses. Thank you.
Thank you. And Asian Pacific American Heritage Month proclamation will be read by Jeffrey Salas Arellano, COD student.
Good morning, everyone. Proclamation, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, May 2015. Whereas, in May 1990, former President George Bush declared the month of May as Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and in May 1991, Governor Pete Wilson also proclaimed this month as Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month in California, the Golden State, and whereas the Desert Community College District employs an increasing number of personnel of Asian Pacific ancestry, and there is an ever-increasing number of students served by the Desert Community College District who are of this heritage, and whereas the history of the United States encompasses the unique culture and rich legacy passed down from the ancestry of the Asians and Pacific Islanders, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District recognizes the many contributions and accomplishments of the Asian and Pacific Islanders for their tenacity in pursuing the highest standards and ideals attainable. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District encourages the illumination of the rich cultural heritage and ethnic diversity within the greater Coachella Valley as part of the district's commitment to cultural awareness programs. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District hereby declares May as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month in the Desert Community College District in appreciation of the achievements and contributions made by Asian Pacific Islanders to the educational programs of the Desert Community College District. The Board of Trustees encourages all the faculty, staff, and students to promote and join in the appropriate celebrations and observances throughout the Desert Community College District, community, city, state, and nation. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no objection from the board when Denise Diamond shows up later, I'll let her read that at that time. At this time, we have introduction of new full-time staff. President Kinnaman.
Vice President Wirt, do we have any new staff? I don't believe we do.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
we
we
do
do?
have
Yes, we do. We
Dean
have
Leslie
one.
Young here to introduce our new International Education Director.
My apologies, we do.
Good morning, Board.
Please sit down and use the microphone. We had a problem with that earlier.
I don't follow directions very well.
That's okay.
Anyway, it's with great pleasure. I wouldn't be a very good board member, would I? It's with great pleasure that I introduce Cody McCabe. He is our new Director of International Programs. He comes to us from New York. He was in the SUNY system as working in the international programs. But before that, he was a community college student in Southern California, and his degrees are from Long Beach and
SUNY Plattsburgh.
Oh, and SUNY Plattsburgh. So we welcome Coney. Do you want to say a couple words and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm just very grateful for this opportunity to be a part of the community, and I'm very thankful for the welcome I've received here at College of the Desert, and I'm very much looking forward to joining the Student Success and Learning team and to growing and strengthening the international education program here. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, minutes. Minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the regular meeting of March 20th, 2015?
Actually, I think there may be. Dr. Kinnaman, if you would check those minutes on page 2 in your comments, I believe that 5 public updates, third line, including the College of the Desert Foundation, I believe that should read Alumni Association, or perhaps Alumni Association and Foundation, because as you read your comments, that's really what it indicates.
Yes, and I was referring to the foundation as one of those that we were in the process, or that we had completed and had went under review as an example of one of them.
Great.
As we were discussing the alumni as
Perfect.
also.
I just wanted to be sure that there wasn't a comparison or one of those things, because I know we're working to model one after the other to some degree.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I believe then there are no corrections.
Okay. If there are no corrections to the minutes, they stand approved as corrected. Reports. At this time, ASCOD, Associated Students of COD, John Cepeda. Oh, John's not here.
You don't look like John.
Hello, my name is Tish Lacey, Vice President of ASCOD. John is in class today, so I'll be giving the report. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, senior administration, and distinguished guests. The following is the ASCOD report for the month of April. ASCOD is gearing up for the Student Senate elections. We're excited to recruit new student leaders for next year and for those students to be introduced to you in the near future. ASCOD is looking forward to the continuing discussion on the realignment. We do appreciate that we are slowing down that process. We know that this alignment is important to the district and the entire college community. We're aware that these decisions will affect many people, including students, and we will continue to be an active participant in the discussion and encourage all constituents to continue the dialogue. ASCOD will be taking students to the Student Senate of California Community College Spring General Assembly on May 1st through 3rd in Ontario, California. The Spring GA is very similar to the Academic Senate's plenary session. And we are expecting over 600 student participants from across the state. We look forward to representing College of the Desert. ASCOD will be working with the Office of Student Life to host the Advisors Luncheon on Wednesday, May 6th. ASCOD will be working with the Interclub Council to host Club Olympics on Friday, April 24th. Lastly, I would like to share with you something that we feel is truly important. Many of the members of this board may remember when ASCOD came before you to speak about the math changes. We spoke out because we felt that the changes were not in the best interest of the students. You echoed those thoughts with your decision. By our speaking out against the changes, we made ourselves targets. This entire experience has been stressing on us as students, and we are very sad and disappointed to say that this experience is not over yet. We continue to hear and see comments directed at us by members of the professional community of the college. Recently, a faculty member posted something on Facebook that reminded us that ASCOD is still being attacked simply because we are actively involved within the campus. In the post, we were amounted to nothing more than amoral mob hitmen who had no concern for students, but only concerns for the way that we look to others, or at least the way we think we look. This was posted on Secular Student Alliance at College of the Desert's Facebook page. We know that Facebook is a public forum, and we know that our clubs use this forum to communicate with their members and with the community at large. We understand that each of us is entitled to our opinion and that we cannot regulate speech, especially in a public forum. However, it is important to know that these pages are used by clubs that are authorized by ASCOD and as such fall under the rules of the district, and they must comply with the College of the Desert policies. Students can be held accountable for things they post on club web pages, and that should be no different for any other member of this institution. We as students are held to a certain standard by the Student Code of Conduct, but time and time again we have seen that we're the only group who's held to these type of standards. If I posted something similar about a member of the administration, faculty, or board, I would likely be sent in for discipline that could lead to a possible suspension. Why should other members in the campus community be treated differently? Why should we enforce the Student Code of Conduct that can't hold other members of this college to the same standard? This is continued harassment to the students, and while it was understood when we took office that this job was tough, none of us expected this type of hostile treatment. This is being brought up so that you can be made aware that there's a huge concern among the campus regarding climate. Many of the faculty have indicated this issue in many different forums. I would argue that these types of posts on social media also negatively contribute to the climate of this college. While before the students weren't completely aware of any underlying tension, it is now starting to be noticeable to the student body at large. If we didn't bring this up, we would be allowing the issue of climate to not only continue, but to expand to include more students, and as you can see, it's already started. As student leaders, we don't get paid to do our job. We do them because we believe that by working together with all the other constituent groups on campus, that we can create an environment where students, faculty, administration, and the college community can thrive. That we can make this college into something that when the name College of the Desert is heard throughout the valley, the first thought that comes to mind is pride to have a fine higher learning institution here in the valley. I only have a little bit more.
Could you sum it up in about half a minute?
Unfortunately, ASCOD has gotten to the point where we have to question whether or not participating in shared governance process is worth it. We have members in our Student Senate who do not want to go to meetings anymore because they feel harassed. By law, students have the right to participate in shared governance, just as the other constituent groups on this campus. We should be able to do this without harassment in an environment that is neither hostile nor threatening, and we are currently not feeling that at this college. When the next ASCOD Student Senate takes office, our fear is that nothing will change, and that this environment that has been created will continue to affect the students' involvement to the point where they're afraid to participate. If one part of the constituency is alienated, real change that's important, will never be accomplished. Thank you for your time, and attached is the conversations that I speak of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, I noticed College of the Desert. Is Mr. Hummer here, or? Oh,
Jan's here.
Jan's here, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Jan Hawkins, bringing greetings from the College of the Desert Foundation. At this time of the year, we're beginning to wrap up the prior year, this last year, and making plans for next year. This year, as you know, has been very successful. Our primary purpose, of course, is fundraising for students and faculty and for the success of the students. All that is based on relationship building, as you all know. We appreciate all of your participation in the events that we've been doing. The last 2 months, we've really been working on establishing even greater relationships and expanding what we think is the great reputation of the college in the community. Peter does it by extraordinary tours, as you all know. Hopefully you've all been on or will plan on. The last couple of months, he's probably taken a couple of hundred people in groups, organizations, from housing developments, you name it. He has been taking everywhere. Just this last week, he's taken 60 people. So you might ask, what's the payoff to that? What is the bottom line? Well, one of the groups, as an example, he took was from Deep Canyon Country Club, that you all know. It's up on Highway 74. It's been there forever. It's not one of the top wealthy country clubs in the area, but they are filled with passionate people about education. They love tennis. They took a tour, and as a result of that, they were so impressed with the Veterans Center that they began their own fundraising campaign, and someone stepped up and made a big challenge, and they are now going to probably come in at about $40,000 for our student vet scholarships. So it's just an example of how the tours and when people see what we're doing here really comes to fruition. The Academic Angels are another arm of extending the relationships within the community. That's what they do so well. They've held two great events recently. In March, they had a 30th year lunch to celebrate their 30 years of existence. For those of you who have been here for a while, our second college president, Dr. Fern Stout, his widow, Lita Stout, was there and joined us with Jean Hilb, who was one of the founders of the auxiliary at that time, so we were pleased to have them. We did a slideshow of the last 30 years and celebrated. To help us celebrate that, we had Chef Benno and some of his culinary students prior to the event show off their skills and got a great reception. During the luncheon, we heard from 3 extraordinary students who received scholarships. Actually, they're not extraordinary, though. They represent all the stories from any of the students on this campus. They told their stories so well that we also, the Angels had a goal to raise $30,000 in scholarships to celebrate their 30 years. Someone stepped forward with a $15,000 challenge, and by the end, when it was all said and done, they have raised $42,000 for Academic Angel scholarships. So we applaud them for doing that. And again, it's only done by building of relationships and spreading the word. The Angels attended a play on campus that was great to get them on campus. They're looking forward to their third event, a jazz concert, and we'll combine that with the President's Circle and try to have it as an end-of-the-year group. And then this week we've finished up the events for the Angels with Quita Barker, who you are all familiar with, the foundation that has funded our nursing program and building to the tune of probably more than $2 million now. Nancy Harris, their executive director, always hosts an event at the end of the year to thank all the Angels for their work that they do all year long. And from that event, because we also had 4 nursing students who told their stories that were very impactful, we gained probably about 10 new members. So we're excited about that. I think that's it. Angels finishing up their year, about $125,000 that they've raised directly for student success. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you.
May I speak up on behalf of the foundation?
Yes.
As outgoing president of the College of the Desert Foundation, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to work with the Board of Trustees, administration, and faculty. I respect the challenge you face in continuing to create and maintain a positive environment for our students to learn and mature. The ongoing challenge is to communicate and collaborate with credibility. Thank you for your friendship. I wish you continued success as the foundation carries out its mission to enhance the quality of education at the College of the Desert. Thank you.
Thank you. College of the Desert Faculty Association, Denise Diamond, do we have someone speaking for her? Oh, you are.
Madam Chair, before we begin, I believe that we would like to say a few remarks regarding Donna Jean, if we may.
Okay.
I just want to thank Donna Jean for her 2 years of efforts, outstanding efforts as president of the foundation. I had the pleasure of working with her my year on the board as the board representative, and she has done so much to move the relationship and improve the relationship between the foundation and the college during her tenure. We are all very grateful for what you have done. Thank you so, so much.
And if I may add too, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure working with you and knowing you and for your support. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for the foundation and for College of the Desert.
And I've had the good fortune of being the representative from the trustees for this year, being the past chair. And Donna Jean, I want to thank you for your interest in the college, for your interest in the community, how you've continued to reach out and to tie us together to be a better team, to be more successful, to keep our eye on the goals that we're reaching toward and keep us going in the right direction. It's your positive influence and your ability to lead that's helped us do that. So thank you for your tireless efforts.
Donna Jean, thank you so much on behalf of the students. Your passion for our COD family has been tremendous, especially our students. You have brought such a positive force from the foundation. Thank you so much for your tireless effort. Thank you.
And Donna Jean, I just want to thank you for your friendship and for everything that you've brought to unify this college throughout difficult times. The foundation, your leadership in the foundation has really held our feet to the ground as a board, and you've really kept us together, and we really appreciate everything that you have done. Yeah, you've really led the way with that. Thank you very, very much. We will miss you, but we know that you'll still be a part of the foundation, and you'll still be out there and helping with us. We thank you very much. Okay, at this time, College of the Desert Faculty Association.
Good morning. My name is Maria Hasso, and as as Vice President and Secretary of the Association, I'm giving Denise Diamond's report this morning. She's at a meeting that she couldn't miss.
Okay.
So, good morning. First, on behalf of the faculty, condolences to Trustee Stefan on the passing of your father. May you and your family find comfort in your memories and each other. It has been an active month. A major focus for the faculty is the reorganization process. Many tenured faculty have participated and articulated passionately about the effects of proposed changes on programs and working conditions. The district is doing a better job of listening. With enormous time and energy spent on this important issue, we have expectations that the model for change honors our unique local culture here at the college, a culture of conversation, dialogue, open debate, and respect. We look forward to the administration's feedback from all the input that has been provided. Many voices, many new voices, many concerned, well-informed voices. We are listening to presentations and plans for COD as our home grows from expansion in West Valley to partnerships with local universities across the valley. We are excited to be hiring new faculty as a critical part of this growth. We recognize the considerable effort that is required by everyone to have 9 hiring committees. Growth brings change, yet changes to administrative procedures affecting faculty require participation from the faculty. The internal operations of the college, from job descriptions to hiring procedures and processes, require the voice of the faculty. A refocus on putting our home in order is needed, an efficient, caring, inclusive focus. The association will continue to bring attention to discrepancies between policy and practice, as was done recently with the English position. The labor management meetings are helping to create an atmosphere of communication and issue resolution. We appreciate this structure and idea from HR. Currently, the association is negotiating a mediation agreement on new faculty orientation program. The association and the district are negotiating 3 coordinator positions. We have 1 grievance resolution pending at this time from the VP's office. We look forward to favorable results from all involved. Affecting the working conditions of the faculty is the district's perspective on the role of deans. What is happening with deans at College of the Desert? We don't know. The work of the college depends on the collaborative dialogue between faculty, staff, deans, and administrators. Will we arrive in fall 2015 to a new cadre of deans? The association continues its active attendance and participation in CPC, budget, health and welfare, academic calendar, safety, and president's cabinet, as well as resolving grievances, negotiating, surveying, and running an election. As you can see, there's plenty to do at COD. This report began with condolences and we close with congratulations. Congratulations to Lauro Jimenez, who was voted California's CSEA Chapter President of the Year. It's a tribute to the perseverance and dedication of his leadership and all the staff here at COD. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria, could I ask you, I know you probably haven't rehearsed it, but would you mind reading the proclamation for Day of the Professor?
I'll be happy to. Proclamation, Day of the Professor, May 6, 2015. Whereas the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees has the utmost respect and admiration for the district's professional teachers, individuals who have dedicated their lives and talents to the education of our students, California's most precious and important resource. And whereas the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees recognizes the valuable contributions of our teachers' continued commitment to provide a quality education for all students, and whereas the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees recognizes that the quality of all students' educational experiences depends significantly and vitally upon the quality of their teachers, whereas professors have a vital role in realizing the vision for California public education. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees expresses their grateful appreciation to all professors for their contributions to the education of students and designated the day of May 6, 2015 as Day of the Professor in the Desert Community College District.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, if we could have College of the Desert Adjunct Association, David Bayshore, please come up.
Have you noticed how the room clears out right before my presentation?
Why?
Good morning. This morning I have good news and bad news to share with you. First, the good news. A compromise solution seems to have been reached for the new location of the Faculty Resources Center. The latest plan is for a common area in the current administration building for workstations and meeting spaces across the plaza in the old liberal arts building. While this is not ideal, this plan incorporates all of the requirements that adjuncts have identified, and we would like to thank Lisa Howell and the Facilities Advisory Committee for all their efforts. Now the bad news. We are still awaiting the outcome of 2 grievances. We are also awaiting information from the district on several other issues in order to avoid more grievances being filed. Recently, we have found that the administration to be either non-responsive or very slow in providing information. This only leads to more suspicion and mistrust. We understand that this is an especially busy time for everyone, especially with all of the discussions of realignment that are occupying a great deal of everyone's time. But that does not explain the delays in providing answers to simple requests for information. While on the subject of realignment, CODA would like to thank President Kinnaman for the town hall meetings that were held this week, and we applaud his decision to slow down the realignment process so that more input and discussion can be obtained. Hopefully this will result in better organizational structure that not only works, but also has buy-in from all parties. Things are looking better. I'd like to add a personal note that's not in my report now, because I have not had the opportunity this semester to talk to you about my first day of school experience, which I do every semester in the 3 or 4 years I've been reporting to you now. And in the past, I've always had to tell you that I turned away an average of 15 students per section who tried to crash my class. Well, this semester, in one class, I had to turn away 6 students. In my 3 other classes, I was able to add everyone who wanted to add and crash the class. So things are definitely getting better with the bottleneck in the speech department classes. And I personally want to thank everybody who had anything to do with that, because it's made such a huge difference for our students, and I really appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, California School Employees Association, Laura Jimenez, and congratulations.
Good morning. To our trustees, administration, faculty, staff, students, and esteemed guests. Classified School Employees Week. Thank you to Dr. Kinnaman and to the board for continuing the tradition of including in today's agenda proclamation of May 17th through May 23rd as Classified School Employees Week. Crystal Glassman graciously agreed to read the proclamation on our behalf. As you know, she is the part-time gallery assistant and newly elected chapter secretary for CSA Chapter 407. To celebrate the week, our chapter continues our family tradition of a May picnic. Though, since I have some influence in the matter, it's in this room and not out in the heat, so that's the nice thing about being chapter president. I hope that our trustees will join our CSA chapter members as we celebrate each other with great food, great presentations, and conversation. Lunch will be served from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 20th in the CSSC multipurpose room. The event is scheduled to end at 1 p.m. You will receive an invitation to the event, and I'm supposed to have brought a button. I will bring the button in a while. Supplemental early retirement program. Last month's agenda included an information item for the board and the public to consider in preparation for a possible action item in today's agenda. The post-analysis report was also provided, which indicated that 3 classified non-management employees eligible for the latest iteration of the program had committed to an early retirement pending today's board approval. The report also indicated that indeed these bargaining unit positions were not counted in the number of the non-replacement positions. CSEA is relieved that the district intent is to rehire these positions. Vacancies in classified staff positions and workload in general continue to be a serious concern for CSEA members that are not able to take advantage of such a generous retirement incentive. CSEA supports this program. However, we remain concerned about and in due diligence demand to negotiate the effects of the program. Should the board approve this agenda item, CSEA asked that we would begin immediate discussions on replacements of those positions as soon as possible. We cannot accept the effects of long vacancies that resulted in last year's program. Our hope is that the impact to students and district operations directly and indirectly would be minimal, knowing that the work of positions left vacant would result in work needing to be left undone. 2 classified job descriptions are in today's agenda, consent agenda HR item 3. The sports information system position will certainly fill a district need for our students, and as I was thinking about it, would certainly have pleased Trustee Marmon with his great interest in the athletics program, no doubt. The laboratory technician for HVAC and refrigeration will also be a welcome addition to a key instructional program. CSEA, HR, and administrators are working together to carefully craft job descriptions that meet district need and provide compensation that is fair and competitive for employees. Our hope is that this will allow COD to attract and retain high caliber individuals with a passion for what we do. Related to the matter of the tutoring and ASC center, just wanted to comment that CSA has not been consulted on this issue, and it is our position that in the same way that classified work is our work, we cannot take the work that belongs to faculty. And then related to all the comments from Dr. Kinnaman and many others, CSA Member of the Year, I want to thank my 3rd Vice President, Pam Chapman, for the idea of nominating me for the State Association Award, and to thank both her and my past chapter president and mentor, Mayor Lisi, for hours of work coordinating testimonies, writing and submitting an amazing application to the CSA Award Committee. They've shown it to me. I'm speechless. Even if I had not been selected, the application itself is just amazing. It's a testament to the talent that we have in our very own classified staff. I also want to thank the outpouring of congratulations from classified staff members, from faculty, from students, from administrators, and from you as well, our Board of Trustees. Our CSEA Policy 903 directs CSEA to also invite the superintendent, president of the district that has the member award. And then our district will be presented an award as well that, as the policy states, is properly inscribed to keep on display at the district office. Thank you again to each of you. God has truly blessed me through my College of the Desert family that has supported my own little family of wife, 6-year-old son, and myself through a very difficult year. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, it happens to be 12 o'clock, which means that the board will be recessing to a working lunch in closed session, and we will reconvene at 1:30. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip someone? Oh, gosh.
Faculty Senate.
I'm sorry. Let me go back. If there's no objection.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll reopen. Let me go to Douglas Redmond. For some reason, I put a check by your name before I got to you. I apologize.
No, that's quite all right. Oftentimes, I'd rather not be drawn attention to, but I thank you very much for entertaining my report before the break. Things are not good, and I've supplied detailed information, a survey from the Senate. And they're not getting better. I want to be clear, faculty are not happy about this. We don't enjoy it. We find it a distraction, as I know all parties do. In many cases, faculty are the solution. I don't mean that in an arrogant way. There are certain things that don't involve us that obviously we're not the solution. But as I thought about that statement, it didn't seem right to me. And what I mean to say, in many cases, faculty have the solution. And there's a big difference. With the items that are part of our purview, we're very student focused. We are student success. We want what's best for them. We have a faculty with a rich history. You heard from one with over 30 years of service. And it's not just a rich history in how to teach, but it's a rich history specific to College of the Desert. And our passions are specific to College of the Desert. Brilliant people, of whom I'm honored to be counted one of. And communication is critical. But when I say we have the solution in many cases, what's been so frustrating, what I think has raised the tension on many levels, is that we haven't been heard. Faculty have been extremely articulate, detailed, and oftentimes, in response, we get generalities. And part of me, at a certain point, personally, if I'm in a discussion or a debate, I'll just back off. Okay, I've shared my view. Here we go. Good luck with that. But faculty care so much about the students and about this institution that they don't find it their place to back off. Now, not that they should ramp up the negativity, but because they have the solution, they continue to insist on being heard and would appreciate being heard. So in some of the cases that have led us here, in some of our situations, we have not been heard. And past that, in some situations, we have not been properly represented before this board. Things have happened, and you have not properly heard how they've happened. And that bothers faculty also. When there's a problem, the best way to solve it is to get all parties at the table, lay out the solution, and go after the best way. And again, faculty are there, they're being articulate, they're being clear, they're being specific, they're providing a rich detail, but we don't think we're being heard. I want to end on a positive note, though. On Tuesday, after much discussion and rich detail again concerning the realignment, which is a very important topic before the college at this time. Frankly, in a few months, we may be in a position where we do not have any academic deans. So with the alignment, faculty have expressed views, been frustrated because they felt like they've heard, expressed views, been frustrated because they felt like they've been heard. But on Tuesday, I really commend Dr. Kinnaman for meeting with us in a forum that we were really looking forward to, and listening and hearing and backing off, saying, you know what, we're hearing you and we want to extend this timeline. I hope that the communication continues in that vein. But we are at a pivotal time, and we're hoping it does continue. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you, and thank you for your support of the faculty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And at this time, the board will recess. Thank you to closed session.
Desert. That's going to be held on May 1st here on the campus. Also hoping to attend the GA, which is our General Assembly, and it's an assembly for our community colleges across the state of California, but that's also on May 1st, so I'm waiting to hear back which one. This year, I had the honor of participating with our elections committee for ASCOD, and I feel that we have a large, diverse group who is participating, and I think that you will be very happy with the new members who will be participating with the shared governance. I only have one request, and that is that you welcome them and mentor them as you have all done with myself and my ASCOD colleagues. Next month, we're having a COD Mental Health Expo, and I'd like to encourage all to attend. It'll be held on April 23rd from 10 to 2 in the Pollock area. And there's going to be questions and answers and a documentary shown. And it's an opportunity for you guys to get to know the students on a more personal level or to get to know them better, interpersonal level. I'd like to thank Dr. Kenneman and his staff for slowing down the realignment process and hosting the town halls for the community and for us to understand better and have the opportunity to ask questions and you guys to know what are our thoughts. I'm going to be attending the celebration for Laudo, and I have my invitation here. And that's going to be on May 20th. And that does conclude my report.
Thank you very much. At this time, Trustee Broughton.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations. We're very proud of you to have the an award that was given to one person out of the entire state. Now that's really special. So we're very proud. I have been addressed over the month by many community members wondering about the status of the street fair and of the Alumni Association. So I'm choosing to speak to that early in my report. I want to thank Jim that was here this morning for being that interim director at the Alumni Association. It's been very important that we had a person that knew the community, that reached out. He's done a great job, and I want to thank him for his work. And to welcome the Cindy Stillman that was here today for us to meet. I'll enjoy working with her. I'm happy to hear that we are going to have a task force, a group to work together. And I have a few questions that I think should be considered by that group, or we as a board need to have reported back to us. One is, in order for the vendors to feel secure, I think it's very important, the vendors of the street fair, I think it's very important that they know that they're going to have a contract for next year. If they don't have a contract by their usual time, they're going to feel like we don't want them, and they're going to start looking for somewhere else. That's what I would do as a small business owner. I don't think I'm unusual. I think that's what they'll do. So we need to look and see when those contracts go out and when they need to be signed and returned by, and follow whatever the procedure is that task force works out to be done. We need to figure out who offers the contracts now, what our plans are for the future. The president of that alumni board suggested that the changes come after May, after the close of the street fair peak season. I personally worry that that's too late. By the time they close their business for the summer, then if it is usual practice to reach out to them, then it's going to be too late. If that's what we need to do, that needs to be one of the first items that group addresses. They spoke, when I looked back at their comments, the vendors were worried about parking issues. We've always had parking issues with the street fair. It's always been communication. So we need to work out a way that they know when we have special events, how many parking spots we're going to dedicate to it, and which lots are where. If they know ahead of time, I'm sure they'll work around it. Also, student parking. We are a college. Our students come first. But again, they need to know which parking lots we're going to dedicate to students and when, where, and which lots. It's not every weekend, we need to work that out so it's documented and they know to plan for it. One of the speakers was concerned about having the street fair reporting to an executive. I feel that is a legitimate concern, and we should know what that order is. To whom do they report now? How do they report? I'm sure they report, because that street fair works very smoothly. They have a system. It ain't broke. I'm pretty sure we need to fix it, but we ought to know what the system is. And they also, we had a student that spoke about the Alumni Scholarship Club. I think that sometime in the future we should know more about that club. It sounds like a good, supportive organization, and as the alumni becomes closer to the college, maybe we can work together more to make that work more effectively. So that's the end of my alumni comments, because I have had members of the community come to me. They were still concerned. I want them to not be concerned. The college is not interested in stopping the street fair. We are appreciative of what the Alumni Association has done. We do need to clarify our relationship with each other, but it's not going to stop the street fair, nor is it going to close down the Alumni Association. We're still going to have an Alumni Association. The relationship may need to be legally different, but I think that will be an inside thing, and it'll be fair. We should be fairly seamless, and we should continue to work together as we do with our other auxiliaries. I'm going to go over my time if I have the consent of my other board members. I would like to suggest, and I would like to thank the group for being here this morning that spoke to us about their learning in retirement. I'm very glad we worked out something with them. It helps us keep community in community college. Gives us an opportunity for a different set of students to be on campus or to be in our facilities. It's a blessing. We actually get reimbursed. We get paid for them using the facilities. God bless them and their 800 students. You know. The other item, the closer item, is when I read the notes, the minutes from this meeting, I thank you for those great minutes. You actually get to relive our meeting. Parts of our meeting, and after you read those minutes, you actually know what happened. I would like to suggest that we figure a way to put our meeting together so that when you read the minutes, you actually have a feeling of what happened for that prior month on campus. The highlights. I'm not looking for a marathon meeting, you know. And perhaps something that we're going to work on for the, what our next step out for the next month. So it's not going to be something we can do quickly. In the past, we've had vice president reports that were a little different, that came under the president's reports. I would just like it to give so that someone that isn't at the college could watch our meeting, bless their hearts, or read our minutes and go, hey, that's what they're doing at the college. That's really interesting. They would get to feel more involved. And while doing that, I would like the items that we mentioned that we would like to hear more about to actually come back to us. But I've gone way over my time, so I'll go on that another time. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee O'Neill.
Well, thank you, Trustee Broughton. I'd like to first begin with Laura. Congratulations. I found out about that yesterday when I came on campus for a meeting, and I happened to walk in through the bursar's office door, and I thought there was a meeting going on because all the CSEA Executive Committee and many others were there collecting their retroactive paychecks, and there was a very happy group. So it was a happy group for Lauro and a happy group for everyone's retro checks. That was a good experience. Congratulations, Lauro. I also want to thank Lisa Howe. Yesterday, Vice President Howe met with Trustee Wilson and myself for 2 hours out of her busy schedule to do training on her area of responsibility. And it was very, very informative. She has a lot of areas that we sort of let slip into the back of our mind, and it was good to see. It was good to see her presentations on what everyone is working on currently, what they're planning, what their needs are. It was a very informative 2 hours, and we appreciate your time. It was well spent for us, and thank you. I hope we provided you some information also. So we talked about, I will mention the wells. We did talk about wells because a few years ago this board had to approve shutting down some wells on campus, and now we have a water shortage. So go figure. But Lisa quickly already got a response in that we have still one well working, so we aren't too badly off in that regard. I would like to thank a lot of people. I would like to thank Becky for the comments about the alumni. I think that's very important that we respond and that we make the public know that we are listening to them. Sometimes when we start these meetings in the morning, the room's filled, and by the time we get to speak, it's empty, and hopefully everybody's watching on their computer, but I somehow doubt it. But at least it's in the record, and they can watch us on YouTube. So thank you, Trustee Broughton, for that. I would like to also thank everyone who has been contacting us in much more greater numbers the last few months. There's been a lot of information coming to the board. The Learning and Retirement Group, I had some wonderful, actually handwritten letters in some cases from members of that group asking us to work with them to support their endeavors. And when you get a letter that's written in cursive handwriting, which we don't even teach in school anymore, it starts out and says, I'm an 84-year-old student in the Learning and Retirement Program, it really hits home. And I want to thank those individuals for taking the time and the energy to contact us, and hopefully we can work this out for the memo of understanding. Everything will work out and everybody will be happy. It's a great program. I also want to thank all the people who contact me about other things, and keep those emails, phone calls, and what else do I get? Email, handwritten letters about all the other topics that come up. I've had, since the last month's meeting, I had more contact from people regarding the SERP. It's amazing how many people's lives have changed so drastically in the last few months that this SERP has become a very critical. I got another one a few weeks ago about individual situation changed. So thank you for communicating with us. It's important that we hear from everyone. It's important that if you think it's important for us to know, don't hesitate. I sometimes get an email that says, you probably got this from somebody else, or maybe you already know this. Well, just assume we don't and send it anyway. I'd rather get something 3 times than not get it at all. And I want to thank those individuals for keeping us on task and informed. It's very important for us to hear from everyone. We are here representing the community. We are here to represent the faculty and staff who work here. We are here for everyone, and we need to hear from everyone, and the more we do, the better. Mike, I want to thank you. Apparently, we are now broadcasting in Apple Land, and I want to thank you and the IS staff, because I already had a text about how wonderful it is to be able to use Apple products to watch our board meeting, so thank you, Mike.
It's all Glenn.
It's all what?
Glenn.
Glenn?
Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn, wherever you are. I know he listens. So really appreciate that. And I think that is my report for today. Keep it brief. A minute left. You can have it. I'll give it to my minutes or Aurora.
Okay, Trustee Wilson.
Thank you so much, and I do want to concur with my colleagues, Trustees Broughton and O'Neill, with regard to all other comments they made on the Alumni Association and just being able to work together. I do want to talk about the ACC conference that I went to in New York City. First of all, I did watch the almost 4 hours of the last board meeting, so I do want you to know that. And in follow-up to the board discussion last month on this topic about 2 board members being absent, I want to assure you that should I attend another conference, I will make sure that it does not conflict with a board meeting date. The ACT conference in New York City was an excellent conference. It was held at the Borough of Manhattan, adjacent to where the Twin Towers stood. When the towers were hit, the college was heavily damaged. And unlike our sprawling campus and satellite campuses that we have here, the borough goes straight up. Students from all over New York City go to that school. They are open 7 days a week with more than 24,000 students in their population. Wow. Dr. Narcissa Polonio with ACT did an excellent job as facilitator of the conference, opening up the discussion on a number of areas. Trustees and presidents from community colleges from all over the country were also in attendance, including Houston, San Antonio, Arizona Western, Central Alabama, and Alamo College. We get to trade t-shirts. I also met with a facilitator, trustees, and a college president during the dinner hours of the conference. So thank you for the opportunity to attend and continue my growth as a trustee. I'm also on the HEART board, which is Health Assessment and Research for the Communities. I'm leaving that board in June, but I am happy to announce that our college president, Dr. Kinnaman, will be joining that board. Cal State San Bernardino and UCR are also represented on the board, so congratulations, sir. Also, congratulations to Laudo for being selected as California CSEA chapter president. Again, well deserved. And also many thanks to Jim DeBoom for his service to the Alumni Association. And shout out to Joyce Whitaker and others from the Living in Retirement program for the invitation to attend one of their classes. I did attend their Hot News class, which was taught by Steve Manning, and it certainly was a lively discussion. Many thanks to the staff and to the president for finding a new home for this worthwhile program. And they also are very interested in working with our youth. They are very interested in working with ASCOT and sharing some discussions, so hopefully we can get that connection going. I also attended the Rancho Mirage State of the City event. COD Foundation board member Marcia Stein was recognized for her work with emergency preparedness in the city. And I also attended the annual county's Senior Inspiration Awards at the Desert Marriott. COD Foundation member again, Marcia Stein, was again honored with the recipient of the award for the city of Rancho Mirage. I served on the Fine Telethon. They called me and asked if I would join them, and I manned phones at their Indio facilities. It was a great but also tiring experience. The telethon raised over $175,000. I attended the two town halls on the realignment that took place this week. They were both very informative. And again, sharing thanks to Lisa Howell for spending time with me and Trustee O'Neill yesterday for the board training. It was really good. Thank you so much for taking the time. You gave a thorough overview and answered a lot of questions that I had, and we had some really good discussions, so thank you again. I attended the Academic Angels Coetta Barker Memorial Reception along with Trustee Sanchez Fulton, President Kinnaman, and executive staff in Indian Wells. 4 nursing students were introduced to the crowd, and they told their personal stories of their experience at COD. It was a great event, and again, sincere thanks to Donna Jean Darby for her excellent leadership of the foundation. Finally, just want to ask, in terms of the preparation of the board agenda, I see that there's a section that's been added to the agenda titled Public Updates, and I believe you had asked that this be added to the agenda, and I really do see the advantages of having that item on there. But I would also like to request that the section titled Suggestions for Future Agendas be reinstated to the board agenda. This section of the agenda was an opportunity for us as board members to request and have presentations on a variety of topics. And the last time this section was on the board agenda was back in November 2013, and it has since been dropped. And if we do end up doing that, one of the first items under that I request is a presentation on the realignment. The PowerPoint that you presented to faculty this past week was an excellent PowerPoint, and I think it should be shared with the other trustees and that there be some discussion with all of us on that topic. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
First of all, I want to thank Lauro Jimenez. Congratulations. And also want to welcome Cindy Stellman to the alumni. Just as Aurora trustee was in New York with me as well at that institute, I also watched the board meeting. And I would like to make a comment. Please let us know what's going on. The vendors have communicated that to us, so we as board members really want to keep abreast on what's going on. And we want to reassure you that we want you here. You're part of the vitality of the College of the Desert. So just this reassurance that members of our community, and as your elected board members, we listen to your opinion. So keep on bringing those emails and those comments to us, and we appreciate that a lot. One thing I want to begin, I've handed out every single board member several books, and also I'll be handing out a book on where we were handed out, was called Trusteeship in Community College, a guide for effective governance. The conference dealt with, and I'll be passing that around. I think this is a really great book that we all should get. They gave each one in attendance one of these, and also we received this packet called Governance Leadership Institute Resource Manual. This is a fantastic, it has helped me, so I really want to thank the college for the opportunity to still learn. It's so vital for us. And I'm going to begin with a quote. Here, I'm going to be handing this out. And then that I received from Dr. Narissa Narnisco. And the takeaway was, governance doesn't come naturally. It is unique and it has to be studied. So the more us as board members get to go to these conferences and learn, the more we're more effective as your elected leaders for our community college. Something that was, if I may just add a couple of things, what was very interesting was we met with the senior editor of the Higher Education Chronicle, and he mentioned the unique new trends that are coming along with the community colleges. So basically, colleges are faced with the demand that they shift from solely on access, which is a key issue, to a focus on student access, equity, and success, and the demand and development of a culture of evidence and a new policy decisions based on data and analysis. I believe that here at the College of the Desert, we're moving forward on that, and I'm very, very proud that we are moving on the evidence-based data, as well as addressing student success. Something that I'm very proud of at the College of the Desert is the way we are in setting forth a lot of stuff for California. We gave some great examples. I mentioned how we're very proud on our scorecards and what we're doing and implementing our focusing on student success and going out to the community with our strategic master planning, getting community input, and having our excellent town halls that the president's coming out to you and getting and meeting with you and getting your input. Something else, some new trends that he calls it the new normal within with the United States community college system. States across are we're unlike other states, but they're reducing their budgets. To other states, the budgets are being reduced. One in particular, which I found terrifying, was in Arizona. They have reduced their budget to Arizona tremendously. We in California are very fortunate that we have a forward-thinking governor, and just we believe in higher education, and there are other states that don't have that. So California, we're moving forward. Competition, another trend that's coming on, is we as a community college should be looking at the competitions that we're getting from private entities and online entities. What makes successful for community college is that we are an affordable and we are a public institution. So everyone could afford us, and that's what makes us so special. Also, some new trends, scrutiny of the numbers. That's something that they mentioned, that we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And also race relations. That's another trend within that many campuses throughout the United States are facing, is the relationship with the races. It's very critical. Here at the College of the Desert, we are very diverse. So I'm just very proud that COD, we're very good at diversity and being open to that. So I'm just so honored that we can have, that's not one of our big issues. We are very diverse and open. May I, Madam Chair? And also the concept of a free community college that throughout the United States that was proposed. That was also on the table, that was discussed at the governance, here, let me give that to the Governance Leadership Institute. So there's more. Okay, and then on, it was just so, I like other board members to get more training. I really, really appreciate it, and I want to thank COD. On April 2nd, I attended the Desert Hot Springs Scholarship Fundraiser from the Women's Club. It was great because this is an organization that just 100% of the proceeds go to college scholarship, and it was great to see everyone there. I attended 2 community strategic plan workshops. I really want to thank Anna Davis, Dr. Neri Dr. Dan Martinez for the awesome presentation they have been doing. One was also at the Indio City Council, which was great. And also the one here at College of the Desert, and another one in Palm Springs. I've been getting a lot of community input. We'd love to see more the concerns that they're having. We have that they be in Spanish as well, so we really appreciate that. I have some more surveys that there's some people who don't have computers, so I want to give those, and the question is from the community, where do they mail them? So that's a concern. Where do they mail them? Do they have an address? Are we going to, because I'm out in the community and they're saying, where do I mail this? Not everyone has a computer, have access to a computer. Second of all, I want to mention on April 6th through 9th, College of the Desert did this fantastic financial literacy week. It was very successful for our students. We had a lot of the local businesses donate a lot of the prizes for our students. I would like to thank Jocelyn Vargas for that. And I attended that at the end where they celebrated all the students who got workshops on financial aid. The banks were there, healthy eating habits. The different topics were very beneficial to the students. Also on April the 9th, I attended Get Tested Coachella. I would like to thank Get Tested Coachella, Luis, and all the student clubs that were there, all the students that put this together. It's because of our students so involved in the community that we can have so many community events. It was a wonderful event to attend and participate. That same day, I attended the artist reception. Once again, Lisa, are we still here? What a great talk. To hear that artist and to give that talk and then go to the reception after we heard that artist was such a great, got a lot of input from a lot of our local artists that came, and love that, just your time and the energy spent on those. And I see all the classes that come to that. I just want to thank everyone that brought their classes to that opening. And people from the Life and Retirement, I also want to give kudos to them for coming out and coming to the reception. I invited them over and they all came, so I wanted to thank Joyce and everyone for allowing me to come visit your class the other day as well, and coming to our reception here at the college. So you get to have a better flavor of COD and what we have to offer, all the great things. Also got to go on the tour for the first time. I've never been on the tour. So Peter did a fantastic job and I was in the tour, and it was awesome to learn more about our college. So I encourage everyone. The next tour will be April 23rd from 10 to 12:30, and you can call Peter Sturgeon directly at the foundation. So what a great program that is. Also, on March 18th, I'm kind of just going from one dates to the other here. attended the Academic Angel 30th anniversary. And I want to thank not only Chef Bino, but I'd like to thank Kitchen for being there. A lot of times, we have our students, but also the local business partners that are there as well. Attended another fundraiser for Best Friends Closet Scholarship for Women. Basically, the main goal of that organization is to give away prom dresses and teach women how to dress for professional interviews. What a great organization when they have come to the College of the Desert and they have given workshops on how to dress for interviews and dress for success. It was really great to attend that. And attended the Desert Hot Springs Chili Cook-Off with an informational booth the other day. And this Saturday, I want to just give out a shout out. We're going to be having the Day of the Child at the Desert Hot Springs Boys and Girls Club. And I really want to thank Anna Davies, and I want to thank the anthropology department and others that are going to be helping out on Saturday. It's because of you we're out there, and we are putting that seed back in community. And please let us know if you want us to participate. We come out with an informational booth. And please fill out your strategic master plan. And that is it. I'm sorry if I went overboard, but a lot of things going on. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And at this time, I'll try to give my report and keep it concise. Congratulations, Laurel. It gives me great pleasure to start out with something positive. As many of you know, I had a very difficult month this last month with the passing of my father. I appreciate the fact that the family here at COD sent so many good wishes and blessings and things to myself and my family, because it was a very difficult time. It was rather unexpected. Everything you've done has really helped to, get me back into the swing of things here. The city of Indio celebrated their 85th anniversary with Heritage Days, the end of March. And they had they do these little bios on different people that were important in Indio. And one of them was on the first board chair, and he was from the city of Indio. And I don't remember his name because I didn't have a chance to look that up when I got back, but I will have that for you next time, because I thought it was rather interesting that COD played such an important role, and that Indio and COD had this long-lasting relationship. When I returned, one of the things that I picked up out of my mailbox, yes, I still get Reader's Digest because I don't have time to read everything I want to. And there was one article, this is the May Reader's Digest that arrived, and the third main article in it is called I Owe It All to Community College. And it's written by Tom Hanks. And I just want to read you a little bit from this. He was an underachieving student, lousy SATs, couldn't afford tuition, community college, accepted everyone and was free. It would become my alma mater. And then he goes on to say, for thousands of commuting students, community colleges were our Columbia and Annapolis. And he went to Chabot, and he said his classmates included veterans back from Vietnam, women of every marital and maternal status returning to school, middle-aged men wanting to improve their employment prospects and paychecks, and the elderly. And I remember my mother graduated from the community college at 58. She received her BA at the age of 60 and her teaching credential that she had always dreamed of her whole life at 61. And then at the end he writes, I drive past the campus a few years later with one of my kids and summed up my 2 years there this way. That place made me what I am today. And I am so thankful that I also had a community college. When I got together with my family, my brother attended Occidental, then West Point, graduated from West Point, has a master's. He's what they call a forensic accountant at the Pentagon. He works for the government. My daughter has 2 masters after her graduation from West Point. My niece, or my son-in-law, also has a military degree and a master's. And out of all of them, I'm the only one that went to a community college. I'm the only one with a doctorate. And I think that says something for community colleges. You know, they're all great people. They all made successes of their lives. But the thing was, it was the one that went to the community college that became a doctor. And I remember my dad saying to me the day I got my doctorate, my mom said, well, aren't you going to congratulate her? And he says, well, I kind of expected her to be the one to get the doctorate. And then he goes, well, no, not really. I always, you know, there's only my brother and myself. I always hoped that one of my children would become a doctor, but I never really thought it would be her, you know? And so I kind of wondered, was it because I was a girl? Was it because I was kind of the slow one in school? Why? You know, I don't know. But anyhow, a community college gives a person a second opportunity, a third opportunity, a fourth opportunity, as many opportunities as they need, and then it kind of compels you to go on. And I think that's what we do for our students here. The other thing that I want to reflect on this last month is anybody that's been through the death of an immediate family member knows that it is a time of change. And you can wake up every day and you can look outside and you can say, oh, it's not as good as when they were here. Or you can look outside and you can say, it's a beautiful day. And I will go over and I apologize. But when I came into the meeting today, I was a little bit, you know, apprehensive. Am I going to make it through the meeting? And I looked out at our beautiful campus and I thought, 16 years ago, when I became a trustee for the first time, we could not sit in this room. It was not here. When I looked at that part of the campus, it didn't look that way. When I drove in today, it didn't look the way it does now. Change can be a very good thing. And this campus has really changed for the better, and our community college has really changed for the better. However, just because things are better in one area, it doesn't mean there isn't work to do in others. I always try to listen to what other people say. Sometimes it's difficult, but please don't ever feel that the board is not listening to you. This board listens more than any other board I've been a part of here. And this is a totally different board than the board I came on with 16 years ago. There is nobody here that was here 16 years ago. Some things that I do want to bring up to the board. Please mark your calendars for October 14th through 17th. You'll notice one of the things on our agenda today is to change the board meeting. It is so that we can all attend this conference in San Diego. Also, I'm looking forward to Friday, May 22nd, for the graduation, the commencement service this year. Also, this next month, on Monday, this coming Monday, will be the COD ceremony recognizing firefighters and peace officer cadets. And if anybody is interested, I thought I had the date here. There will be a memorial service for Cesar Chavez, April 23rd, and it will be held at LA's Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels, and I do have the time here. It's right after lunch, I believe, but if you want that information, I can get that for you. The other thing I had the pleasure of doing this last month is attending my training with our very own Vice President in charge of Human Resources. And I was very happy because the training was her philosophy on how human resources should operate. And having been a teacher for over 34 years now, there are times I know that when I walk on the campus at work, things are not what I wish they were for myself or for my students, but our human resource department here is committed to communication. And I think that a lot of the misunderstandings we have here are due to communication. I think that All of us need to listen. All of us need to interact and try to be positive about things. And I know that we're all concerned, I've said this time and time again, in the success of our students. You never know, we could have another future Tom Hanks out there that went to COD. And we have had a lot of excellent students that have become really wonderful people from COD. So I just want to say that thanks to everybody working together, whether you think we're listening or not, keep talking to us and keep making us listen, and we'll keep trying to communicate back. And I think that's the whole key of how we're going to get along here. I know that through the difficult time, my family and myself, a lot of times we were at loggerheads, and a lot of time I would just sit everybody down and say, you guys, you got to listen to each other, and you got to hear what each other are really saying. So if we can just do that, I think we can make things work. And I think we've been trying to show that with the alumni and with the education for the elderly program that we have here, and some of the other things in the town hall meetings that are going on. I think we're making a real effort to listen to you, to hear what you're saying, and I know it will continue, because I know after all the outpouring of wishes that you have had for me, that we are a family, and we will continue to be so. Okay?
I brought some backup information I forgot to pass out.
Would you like to pass it out?
Last month, I mentioned the new test, that replaces the STAR test. It's called the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. The Chancellor of the California Community Colleges, jointly with the California Department of Education and Cal State University, has sent a letter to every 11th grader. And this letter indicates that there is a new, smarter, balanced assessment embedded in this early assessment, embedded in this performance and progress test. The letter goes on to indicate that it is optional for this 11th grader to choose to pass on their score to their future college. It also says what will happen if you pass at either level 4, 3, 2, or 1. If you pass at a level 4, they're saying that you'll be exempt from taking the CSU and participating community college placement test, and that you'll be able to move directly into college level courses. Students that perform at level 3 are encouraged to take appropriate courses in their senior year, and so that they will be able to move on to college level. And those that place below that, they give the student a website to go to help them progress. I don't know if our college is going to participate in this, but I'm pretty sure it's something we have to opt into if we are. It seems to me that the state is trying to offer an alternate route for placement, and that we should at least consider it. So I brought the letter that's signed by, obviously it's an original signature. Thank you, Angela, for printing this out for me. That's signed by the State Superintendent of Public Education, the Chancellor of Cal State, and the Chancellor of California Community Colleges. If they thought it was important enough to send to every 11th grader, and I got it because I've got an 11th grader, then I think it's important for us to look at it and see if it works for us.
We'll get that, see if we can get it on a future agenda.
Okay, great.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I'm passing this out because the students will be taking this test next month, between now and the next.
Well, actually, yeah, within the next couple weeks. Next week, the following week, and I believe they have the following week after that if they didn't finish.
So, it's something that's at once. Angela has one, I think another one.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we will move forward with the agenda. Administrative reports.
Okay, very briefly.
That's okay.
I would like to bring everybody's attention to a date, Friday, May the 8th. On that day, the California Community College Board of Governors will be having a presentation here, a panel discussion in Coachella Valley, and it's part of the Economic Workforce Development program called Doing What Matters initiative. And they've had 5 of these town hall meetings throughout the state, and they're going to have their last one, a special one just for Coachella Valley, on the 8th. Pam's been working on this with Senator Stone's office and Glenn Miller, and Trustee Wilson had been engaged with this process when she was still with CVAG, I believe, also is when some of the conversations started. The location will be at the Hyatt Indian Wells. The Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Indian Wells have agreed to host the event at no cost. And the structure of the event will include the Vice Chancellor from 4 community colleges, the Vice Chancellor of Economic and Workforce Development, a panel of industry representatives, and it'll be a facilitated discussion. We're looking at probably 100 to 200 attendees is our desire, and it will be around workforce and how to support our regional economy. Okay. And that again is on Friday, May the 8th. And I'd like to ask Ms. Howe, do you have a presentation of or some information you wanted to share regarding our bond refunding or our yeah.
I do. Last week on Tuesday, our bonds, our refunding bonds were sold on the private market, and Piper Jaffray was the underwriter, and we were very successful. I think the presentation, we estimated, or we are hoping to have a 16.1% savings. And the savings is not to the college per se, but to our community. So the property taxes that are charged, not property taxes, but the bond assessments that are charged with the property taxes actually be reduced from this transaction. That will occur, the first reduction will be in December of this year. So it's very good news for our taxpayers, and will allow us to look forward and give them a little extra spending money right before Christmas. So it was a very successful sale. As you know, our bond program is coming to a closure. We are in the last, I think, about $84.5 million remaining of our bond program. So we appreciate the support of the community, and I'll be working with Pam Hunter to do a press release for this great news.
Question, if a person's bond obligation on their taxes was $100 a year, would this be a reduction if we change that percentage into dollar amount? Is that how that works?
It is. It's very. The percentage is very. The percentage is high, but the dollar amount, because it's so varied, it's tough to say how it's going to impact each taxpayer. But it is a 16% reduction for them. So.
Very good.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. Anybody want anything pulled?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to pull consent agenda Section C, Administrative Services, both 9 and 10.
9 and 10. Anybody have anything else to pull?
There's a typo, but I'll just show Angela and we can fix it later. It's a date typo, and it's obvious as you read through the agreement that it was just a
We just did move
Okay,
from 14
there
to
is a
15.
typo that will be brought to your attention later. Okay? Anything else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended, omitting items C9 and C10?
So move.
Second.
The motion has been passed and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Student Trustee Campbell, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carried unanimously. Action agenda. We'll start with the items pulled from the consent agenda. They will be discussed separately for consideration. So we're looking now at consent agenda item C3. If I can find that really quick. Fiscal services.
C9 budget
I'm
transfers.
sorry. C9. And I believe C9 is budget transfers. Can I have a motion on the table?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been
Second.
moved and seconded to put consent agenda items C9, budget transfers, and it is now open for discussion.
I asked to have this pool because there's a considerable amount of money involved, and I know there's a reasonable, valid explanation for why we're moving money out of academic classified salaries and moving it into other operatings. Having run budgets, I sometimes know that you just do that end of the year cleanup, but I just thought since this is such a significant amount that we should have some clarification.
Okay, happy to provide that. As you know, we started doing our budget transfers on a monthly basis, whereas before I think they were done quarterly or maybe just annually. So this is not an unusual item. It is not increasing or decreasing the budget, but just moving money. So having said that, there is a large decrease, 68,000 in academic salaries and in the 2000s, classified salaries, 11,000. I was able to run a report, staff attached. What I can tell you, it's 250 entries, so it's a lot of data. I do know that the majority in the captions tell me it has to do with movement around so that we were paying our 4.5% settlement, which we would think that would be increasing, which it did increase because we actually pulled that money up from the fund balance at the last board meeting, and it's put into one area and then it's transferred around. So the area that we chose to put it in was academic salaries and classified. So it was a guess at that point when we increased it. Then we moved it around. So that's why there's a little bit of that. There was also cleanup done. March is the month that we go through with a fine-tooth comb our position control to make sure that data, the budgets are accurate, because that's the month that we roll over to begin our budget work for 2015-16. So that also has a bit to play in there. And I think that is it. The large increase for other operating services and expenses, I believe that came from the cleanup of the foundation pieces, where a lot of that money, the $800,000 that was provided for, a lot of that money was included in supplies, and now we're going through cleaning up. There was a lot of negatives in that area. So a lot of it was contracting and things of that sort. So that's what I can tell you. I'm happy to provide you with
That's fine.
8 pages of
I knew there
detail.
had to be a very good explanation that just when you look at it, it's a considerable amount of money. And that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Now we'll be voting on consent agenda item C9, budget transfers. Student Trustee Campbell?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carried unanimously. And now we're looking at pulled item, or consent agenda item C10, which was also pulled. This is declare equipment as surplus for disposal. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent agenda item C10, declare equipment as surplus for disposal. Discussion, please.
I asked that to be pulled simply because of the 2013 Ford Fusion hybrid that we're disposing of, which at first blush looks like not a good idea, but I'm sure there's again a rationale for it. But I just thought we should get that on the public record, that why we're disposing of a 2013.
And I had that very same reaction when I saw that, thinking, oh my goodness, a 2-year-old vehicle being surplus. So I would ask Dean Jaramillo to come up and give you the skinny on this issue. There's more to the story.
Oh.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon at this point. I think many have heard the joke maybe in the past that how the heck do you build a $20,000 car with $50,000 of parts? This is a really good illustration of that. We needed specific parts from a hybrid vehicle that was current and relevant so that we could use it in our instruction. To purchase those parts independently would have been a significant cost. They're very difficult to get. The easiest way to do that was to buy a totaled automobile. So the 2013 Fusion was actually totaled. We bought it from a wrecking yard and brought it over. It in no way would ever be made operable again, but the key component parts that we needed with the hybrid systems were complete. So we were able to salvage them from that vehicle, make them basically into display type instructional equipment, and pulled them out along with some other parts that would help with some of the other parts of the program. We primarily wanted it for the hybrid components, which are almost impossible to get because you really can't buy them as parts at this point. So 2013 that have been totaled, what's left and what's going is basically the frame and some of the exterior body, and we've kept the engine and transmission and all the hybrid systems and the brakes and all the important parts, and that's why the cost is basically negligible.
I knew there had to be a really good explanation. Thank you, John.
You're very welcome.
Okay, is there any further discussion on item C10, declare equipment as surplus for disposal?
What does one do with removed hard drives? All of those computers that we are declaring as surplus, it gives us the good information about them. It says the hard drive is removed, and one removes the hard drive because it's got information on it. What do you do with it?
I was going to say, that's a good question. I can't answer, but perhaps...
Microphone, please.
If Glenn or Sherry were here, we actually just, and I don't know where the funding came from, but actually purchased a piece of equipment that totally destroys the hard drive. So it's actually, I think, certified for NSA, blah, blah, blah. So that's what the intent would be.
Thank you. I just wondered what you do with hard drives.
Okay. Anything further on this item? Seeing none, we are now voting on consent agenda item C10, declare equipment as surplus for disposal. Student trustee Campbell, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. And now we are at the action agenda items. The first one that we'll be looking at today is Board Policy 2210, Officers of the Board, first reading. Do I have a...
Madam Chair, on the thing it says proclamations on the board agenda. There's a separate item, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't say it on mine, but...
On the table was an item when we came in, proclamations. It's not.
No, that was added. We added two things to the proclamations that were already there.
So this is what we didn't vote on, this one.
This was under the consent items.
Oh, this is the
We added
consent.
two.
Okay, then what are these proclamations on the agenda?
That's
Still
if you look at
consent.
this-
Okay, I'm at the wrong page. My fault,
But if
sorry.
you look at this paper here, you have the highlighted ones in yellow are the ones
I'm
we
sorry,
added to
I
the
got out of sync.
That's
Thank you.
okay. You had me confused there for a moment. Okay, going back to Action agenda. Board of Trustees, Board Policy 2210, Officers of the Board revisions. Do I have a motion?
You do?
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Officers of the Board for the first reading.
Madam Chair?
Discussion, yes.
Would you give us a brief reminder, or in some cases, it may be the first policy that a board member has dealt with the change. Would you give us a brief reminder of the first reading and the second reading, and what can be done in between the two times?
Okay, basically, the way that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Parliamentarian, this is a first reading, and we are reading a policy that has been altered by a committee and given to us based on input from a previous meeting. And what we are allowed to do at this meeting is we are to be able to look at any changes that we want to make at this time, and then and discuss it. That's why we bring it for first reading. Then it will come back up as a second reading. At that time, if we still want to make further changes, we can make further changes. Okay?
Thank you.
So with that in mind, would anybody like to speak to the one that's on the floor at this time? Yes, sir.
I would, this is going to be strange. As a member of the committee that helped rewrite this, I, along with Trustee Broughton, took the board's comments and we put them into this format. As I worked on this, I became more and more concerned that this policy only covers people who choose not to hold a certain position. And I'm still concerned about perhaps people who should not hold the position of chair. And I base that on 45 years as an educator, working with boards in K-12 and this board. There are times when people may not have the qualifications or may be so single-minded in their approach, and I've seen it, that they could do a lot of damage in 1 year as the chair of the board. I remember one chair of the board when I was in San Francisco who hated the superintendent and forced him out and had to buy out his contract and gave him almost $1 million in compensation. And he went out and bought a new Porsche and bought personalized license plates saying thank you with her name. So I've seen that kind of action take place. And yeah, Lisa's going, what? But it's happened. I've been in the business too long. And I have seen people become board chairs and who have done a lot of damage. And I'm concerned that this policy does not have some control mechanisms in it. I think that the intent of this policy could be pursued in different ways, such as a nomination process with term limits, so that the chair is actually rotated. I have seen this board at the college control who is chair, and I have seen them in that control mechanism rotate it. And you were, Trustee Stefan was part of that in the past too. So I'm just, in long term, and I think, we don't redo policies on a regular basis. We review them on a regular basis, but we don't rewrite them on a regular basis. And I think that in the long term, I'm not comfortable with this, putting the college in this position based on my prior experience. So I'm going to vote no on this. I don't support it as in its current format. And that's just, I wanted to put out there my concerns, even though I helped write it, which I told you initially would be a little strange.
Anyone else?
If you feel that uncomfortable with it, do you have any thoughts on tightening it, changing? Oops. Do you have are there any thoughts? See, I'm short and I missed the microphone. Do you have any thoughts on changes for it that would make you feel more comfortable? This is a first reading and it's an opportunity to tweak it. Also an opportunity to think about it between meetings, but because it's a first reading, the clock has begun to tick.
What I would see is going back to the nomination and election process with term limits, either a one-year term limit for the chair and they would have to sit out a term, or maybe even a possibility of 2 one-year terms as chair, and then they would have to sit out 2 years. I think the change in this policy initially came about because of concern that positions were not being rotated. And that's understandable, but I think we could set up a rotation system. As I said, I think we've had it in the past. I think I've seen this board operate with a rotational system within an election system. I mean, that's basically what took place. In many cases, it was a formality to nominate and elect the next person in line, but at least it demonstrated that that process was taking place. There have been people here on the board who I know on the boards when I was sitting out in the audience that the other board members did not feel comfortable having as chair, and probably with very valid reasons. So I'm thinking we could put some kind of sort of stopgap measure that prevents somebody becoming a dictator, running the chair after chair, year after year after year, but still using people with their best qualities. I personally, when I was on the board for 3 years before I became chair, and having been an educator and worked with boards all my life, when you come on this side of the table, it's a different experience. And all the skills that I had on that side of the table are not quite the same on this side of the table. So and I maybe wasn't ready to be chair when I was rotated into chair. And that could be my own self-evaluation, which is we're always harder on ourselves. But I think that's an element that some people just don't have the skills. And it's nothing that they're great board members, but they may not have the management skills necessary to do this particular job. That's my concern.
I think the reason that we started the rotation was exactly so that more board members would have an opportunity to serve in the different chairs. So we can find a compromise between, so that we do have term limits, because it just isn't, but to have one controlling person would just, to me.
That's why I don't agree with that either.
Exactly.
That's why I think there needs to be some mechanism. And this may just be my own bias, and the rest, it only takes 3 people to pass this.
Is there a policy that we have that can take the chairperson out of its rotation, where, like, say, if that chair is ruining the reputation of the board, is there something that we have in effect now that can remove them? No.
Frankly, no.
If there was another policy, another code, let's say a code of conduct policy that could be effective, that might be different in my opinion, but we don't have any mechanism because our code of conduct policy reverts to the chair. And if the chair is the person you're having difficulty with, it makes it difficult because they control the agenda. A person can do a great deal of good or potentially a great deal of harm in that position. That's just how I feel. Again, having experienced, a new Porsche and seeing that sitting in the parking lot. So that's just me. I just wanted to share why I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything about the policy that is proposed in front of you at this time? We've heard from both members of the committee. I was wondering if maybe you want to take it back to committee and work again on it?
I wouldn't want to do that unless the board can, I think Carlos will back me up, unless the board has a consensus of opinion to take it back. Wouldn't that be the case, Carlos?
Okay.
The board could refer it back to committee with direction on how to change it, but at this point, as I understand it, this is a recommendation to the committee, and so the board would decide how to dispose of it. So either you send it back to committee with parameters, or you discuss it by second.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion for sending it back to committee?
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we send it back to committee. Now discussion on, now that is a,
Thank you, that's what.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion on why.
And I'll step back from the discussion because you've heard our discussion.
Okay.
I just want to
Sanchez.
give an opportunity to talk about it.
No comment? Any comment?
Well, only that, having worked in local government, there are, I can relate to city councils that have, that are elected by their people and that have a rotational policy in place where that policy is in place and they rotate. And then you have other cities where you have a mayor that is directly elected by the people. So when you have a rotation policy that's in place, the electeds, the people, the elected officials, the city council members, or the trustees are elected by the people to represent them. And if you have that rotational policy in place, it should be honored. But I understand some of the concerns that are here, and if there would want to be like an option, go take it back and develop an option to take a look at, and then bring it back here again for another reading. Look at the two options, the one that we have now, and then what might be suggested.
If we look at the original policy that we had before, it did include a, let's see, where was it? There was one part where they were actually, it was rotating, but they were actually elected at that organizational meeting.
That
Does
was
make
the
sense?
original policy,
That
and
was
then
the
it
original
was
policy that
changed
we
to,
had, that we changed.
we had the rotation added at the end, and why I brought it to the committee, the board's attention was that those two directions within the policy were in conflict.
Diametrically
In
opposed.
conflict. Is there
So
a
we
way
had to
that
go
it could
either
be
one way or the other, and the board
written-
chose to go this way.
Is there a way that it could be written so that it would be rotational but still have to be elected by the board? Would that remedy it, is what I'm wondering.
There's a thought.
I kind of thought that's what you were suggesting.
Confirmed. Well, no, what was before, excuse me, what was before was an informal rotation process. But what I think Dr. Stefan is proposing is a formal rotation process where the person then has to be elected as part of the rotation. So each office would have a sort of an incumbent, in a way, not an incumbent, what do I want to say, a person in waiting, and then
would be
the
automatic
board would have to confirm that person in waiting by a majority vote. Is that what I'm?
That's what I'm learning.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we would try to wordsmith it to the point that we maintain the rotation as it is now, simply with a confirmation vote.
With a confirmation vote, yes. And then talk
Then
about...
actions if the person is, the next rotation does not confirm
Yes.
what takes place.
And then what I had done was I had taken this policy and I had already tried to wordsmith it as is, that you might want to take back if you take it back as well.
Very good.
Because that's one thing I did learn from the NEA conference, was how to wordsmith a lot of stuff. And so this is, if we leave it as is, wordsmithing to try to make it as clear as possible, because usually these things end up as clear as mud,
Yes.
if we know what I'm saying. Did everybody get a copy of it?
I just hit the thing and everybody's ears went, ooh, and
know.
Angela will hate me. But
And the things that I did are highlighted in blue on this, okay, for wordsmithing. And it was just to clarify things, to try to make it clearer for whoever is reading it, so that they would understand how the full rotation goes, and if someone is out of line where they go into. But that doesn't address the question of confirmation, if you want to have that clause in there or not.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Being that, I'm a student and I'm constituent, I think that every city should have the opportunity to be represented as a chair. And there's so many ifs, ands, and buts that can happen. And being in student government for 3 years, I've seen that there's lots of times where it's a popularity vote, and I don't think that we should be represented that way. I think that you guys should be rotated, and if a situation should occur that you guys are going to be responsible enough to take appropriate actions and create policies to remove.
Well, we have to have a policy in place prior to is the problem.
Prior to?
There's no legal.
And there's no,
There's really,
nothing.
As trustees, we are protected in that unless we commit a crime of a certain level, I'm looking for correction on this, I don't believe we can be removed from the board unless our constituents choose to recall us or to not re-elect us. Am I correct?
You're committed of a felony.
Unless you've committed a felony, okay. I'm looking down the table and I'm thinking that probably is not going to happen.
If you were convicted of a felony, it'd be immediately removed.
Could we ask President Kinnaman, and you being a college president, can you weigh in a little bit on this? I don't have a lot of familiarity with other community colleges and how they...
I've experienced both ways. Even one that we haven't mentioned here, I've experienced one where the chair stayed for like 6 or 7 years in a row.
Really?
And so, it's really dependent on the board and the board's preferences. In that situation, the person, they were an effective, good chair, and the board felt that they didn't want to have, they wanted the consistency, and then I think they also felt that the CEO and the chair relationship was one that may have been stronger in that situation or worked better in that situation than having the rotation occur. So it's really different depending on the board's preference and how they want to operate. So I know that's not real helpful, but
it's either elected or rotated to most places.
Yeah. Like I said, since I've been on the board for 16 years, the first 8 years that I was on the board, there was one individual, and he made an excellent clerk for the first 8 years that I was on the board. And that's all he wanted to be. And he had the time to be up here to sign whatever documents, Johnny on the spot, that needed to be signed. We had one board member that probably would have made an excellent chair, just chose never to be the chair. That was not their desire. That left 3 people rotating. And it was elected. The longest term that anyone served was 2 years at that time. And then when we went to rotation, we had 2 new members on the board, and one person that became the chair didn't want the position, but was afraid to decline it for whatever reason, thinking that, he'd be ousted, but then resigned from the board shortly after that.
Yeah, but not because he was chair.
Not solely because he was chair, but that was one of the things.
Health.
Yeah, but there were several reasons, but that was one of them, because he didn't like the pressure from that. He did not feel comfortable with that position. But, so, it depends on the individuals on the board, It depends how well they work as a team, how well they can, rotate the position. But you can always make confirmation of the rotation by election. That is a standard practice in a lot of places, but, and then just say it's rotation, unless it's due to someone declining, as you have it in this, and then, you know, with confirmation of the board. But
Are you comfortable going back?
I don't know, you know, right now we're discussing the thing of taking it back and possibly rewriting or,
If that is the desire of the other trustees, then I'm good with it. It looks like the work's a lot been done. You've did really nice.
Well, we did a lot. I think we have a lot here.
Yes,
Just
we have a lot there.
Call
Right.
the question. I don't do that though, do I? I just ask for it. Okay, are there any objections to moving forward with a vote?
With the vote that that we have to bring it back?
That we are sending it back to the committee to bring back next month?
I object.
Oh, well, advisory vote. Okay. So, but right now I want to take the vote. So are you objecting to voting? Or-
No, I thought my advisory
Okay.
vote was.
No, okay, now, if there's no objections, we're going to vote. Okay, advisory vote.
Object.
Object. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Could you explain that again?
Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to take it back, and they're going to see if there's some way that they can wordsmith it, given what they've presented, the wordsmithing that I've done to try to clarify things, just to make it clearer for whoever reads it. Because the way it reads now, it says new board members will be placed at the end of the rotation, but it looks like the rotation
It
is
is nice.
the clerk.
Your additions are nice.
Okay, so that was what I was trying to do, clarify that what the end of the rotation actually is.
You clarified, you didn't actually change.
I
You
didn't change the
clarified.
meaning, that was just to clarify
Okay,
what
very
the,
nice.
what the thing is. At least that's what my effort was, so if there's something wrong there and you catch it, please let me know. But, and please change it. But it's really to clarify, I'm trying to explain what they're taking back.
Right, but the question, you're in the middle of a vote, so you can clarify what you're voting on?
Yeah. We're voting on them taking it back and trying to see if there's some other way they want to figure out to try to word it so that we have,
Bring it back to a first reading.
bring it back to a first reading.
There's,
Refer back
and
to
there was
the
three,
committee.
and there were votes.
Yeah.
There were 3, and now we're waiting for trustee seconds.
So to refer it back, so we're voting on referring it back to the committee so they could look at it again for the second reading, is that correct?
No, it'll be a first reading when they bring it back again, right? It'll come back as a first reading, and then we can have further discussion on it.
Because we have recommendations here, if I may, from trustee Stefan to add into this, so it's a
Oh, so we haven't even-
reclarification of
Okay.
even what we've done here has to be reclarified
Is,
with whatever additions we can add.
Madam Chair, yeah. So the motion was to refer to committee to redraft. That was the direction. Right? And so we talked about why we wanted to set parameters and what that discussion was about. The chair provided some input into that.
Got it.
And everyone else provided some input into that. And right now you're in the middle of a vote. And you have you have an advisory vote of no, you have 3 yeses, and now you're waiting on trustee Sanchez to say yes or no to referring to committee with that information that you discussed as the parameters for that committee to make some decisions. That's all. So when it comes back, it'll come in the first reading.
yes, I want to go back, so yes,
Okay.
I need to.
Okay, then we'll refer it back to the committee, and then it'll come back to us hopefully next month for a first reading. Hopefully I didn't put pressure on you guys, and it passed unanimously. Next item is, something's missing in there. Oh, no, it's not. There it is. Okay, item 2 under Board of Trustees, October 2015 board meeting date change due to the ACCT conference in San Diego, October 14th through 17th. And our meeting was originally scheduled for the 16th. And what we'll be doing is postponing it 1 week until October 23rd. Can I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I just want clarification on one thing. Do we have any budgetary things that need to be approved prior to the 23rd of October? I don't know what date we approve.
The third quarter financial, I don't know that either. When is it due? Usually they're pretty.
Is it on our front sheet?
I don't think it is.
The budget's September.
It's
But we
September?
do tentative budget June, we do adopted budget September. We have a third quarter financial report, but I don't think there would be a problem with it coming forward. So
Okay,
we should
if
be
there is, I guess we could have an emergency
Yes.
meeting because we didn't think in time. Okay, any further discussion?
Only maybe that we could possibly, when we're all down there, is have a retreat of some kind?
Oh, no, you can't have it out of the county.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. See, I'm learning.
No.
All right.
We don't want to do
Sorry.
that. It has to be agendized, it's a big hassle.
Still learning, thank you.
We can have
That's
some
okay.
2x2 meetings.
I'm sorry?
2x2 meetings, maybe.
2x2 meetings, yeah. It's like, okay. So at this time, student trustee,
She had to leave.
oh, she had to leave to
She had
pick
to
up
leave.
some.
She'll
Okay.
try to be back.
That's all right, okay then.
Personal thing she needs.
So we will forego the advisory vote, unfortunately. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Human Resources, Early Retirement Incentive Program. Do I have a motion to approve the Early Retirement Incentive Program as presented?
You do?
Is there a
Second.
second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the Early Retirement Incentive Program as presented. Any discussion?
I just want to say, all those of you out there watching for the last 8 hours, we're finally there, okay?
Finally got here. You can breathe.
And I would just add that we ran 2 different scenarios on this with the mix of employees that we have, and there is savings on implementing the program, so I'm pleased about that.
Okay. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Administrative Services. Adoption of resolution number 041715-1, Public Agency Retirement Services, Supplementary Retirement Plan, and approve agreement with PARS. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Dr. Kinnaman, will you conduct the roll call, please?
Trustee Broughton?
Aye.
Trustee O'Neill?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Stefan?
Aye. The motion carried unanimously. Budget revisions. Excuse me. Do I have a motion to approve the budget revisions as presented?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget revisions as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, the motion carried unanimously. And the next ones are informational items.
We didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any discussion? Well, that was
Carlos,
great.
come on.
Oh, we lost it
Should have
here.
been red carding her.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried unanimously. I thought I said that. Yeah, that's what it said on the paper. Okay, information items. No, yeah.
Just for the record, had you not said anything, it would have passed.
Oh, okay.
Because you gave them the option. So that's why it's important we,
Oh, wait.
the chair can do that and it would pass.
Didn't mean to.
See? So
Okay,
if,
sorry about that.
do that, could you do that a little slower for the older person in the crowd here?
Sure, so she said if there are any objections, if there are no objections.
No, I said any
If there's no
discussion.
discussion, it'll pass unanimously. That's
Yeah.
what she called it. Right?
No, I said no discussion. The motion carried unanimously.
Pretty much that's what you said, yes.
That's what she said, and you all let it go. So had you not called it, then it would have carried. She would have recorded it as unanimous.
Wow.
Because the only thing that's recorded is what the chair said.
I apologize. I didn't mean to do that to you. I really
I think
didn't.
that substantiates one of my other statements.
Okay, informational item. We have revised administrative procedure 7400 on travel procedures. If you look at that, the blue things are crossed out. That's what we're crossing out of the original. Red is underlined and added. We do not vote on that. The next thing is the CCCT board elections, and I believe we have papers to give you so that you can vote. Please vote on the last page. These were sent out to you in advance so that we could all vote at this meeting and get this taken care of, so we'll be able to get it in there.
Madam Chair, again, if you would discuss our procedure, since our college gets 7 votes.
7 votes.
Right.
What will happen
One
is,
Not one per each of us. but
yeah, what
as
will
a group.
happen is we will take all of these, fold them in half, these, so they're secret ballots. They will be given to Angela. Angela will then tally up, and hopefully we will have 7 different people that we have elected. If not, there will be a runoff. Did I say that correctly? Did I make you happy?
The top
The top 7 people.
The top 7 vote getters will be our vote.
Our votes, If there is a tie, there will be a runoff. Does that make sense?
Between the,
Did I say it right?
I don't know, but I understood, but.
Clear as mud, I know. I didn't wordsmith it.
The way I understand it, the top 7 out of the 5 who vote, those are the ones who, that's the board's one vote per person.
Yeah. Yeah, but if there's a tie between 2 people, then it goes to that last spot. If you want to have some. You did. You're supposed to get it. Yeah, it was sent to everybody.
Yes,
Make
I
sure
appreciate that.
So you guys all had that. Can you do a tally? We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Okay, while you do a tally, so we don't have to come back to it if there's a problem. Well, people want to go to the restroom. We will reconvene at 20 after, by this clock. I will watch it.
Here's my story, it's sad but true. It's about about a girl that I once knew. She took my love, then ran around with every single guy in town. Hey, hey, what?
Yes, are we on time?
One person missing. Oh, well.
You have 7?
We have 7 people.
Yay.
Okay?
Yay.
I'm going to read you the people that are our representatives. Ann H. Ransford from Glendale. Janet Chenoit from Mendocino Lake. Bernard B.J. Jones, Ellen Hancock. Oh, from Ellen Hancock, okay. And then Dawn Edgar from Sonoma. Janet Green from Riverside. Doug Otto from Long Beach. And M. Tony Ontiveros from North Orange County.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will now move on to our study session. Board self-evaluations. You want to know something? Did anybody bring their board self-evaluation?
I did.
Did you? That's good.
I was a teacher. You know?
Oh, we have them on the screen. Aren't we lucky?
Oh, we're so
Okay.
good.
If everybody will turn around.
Thank you, electronics.
We'll look at this together. As it is a dynamic process, the board needs to continue to update and develop policy and procedures. Pretty straightforward. Once decisions are reached, we need to let go and buy into the board's decision without hesitation. The differences are clear in training discussions, but often the lines seem to blur in practice. We need to spend more time reviewing our policies so that we do not end up telling administration how to do their job. We listen to all parties, a great characteristic, but one that can undermine the CEO if not handled with extreme care. The board continues to improve in this area of community relations. The very nature of the varied responsibilities of the board does make this difficult. If you look at our scores in this, board effectively represents the voice of the community. We gave ourselves 4.6. That's pretty good. The board encourages active cooperation by citizens, organizations, and the media, 4.6. That was with respect to establishing policy on current college operations and proposed future developments. The board has strategies for involving the community in discussion of issues that impact the community, 4.6. The board assists in developing educational partnerships with community agencies, businesses, and local government where appropriate, 4.6. Okay. Next part, comments. Our board spends many hours in the community and does a good job of representing the community's voice. This area is one of our strengths, but one I would also like to see continue and improve. There are opportunities when community agencies could come in and present to the Board of Trustees. Those opportunities no longer exist and should be reopened. There's public comments. Anybody with the third comment there? Anybody think of anything else what opportunities did we have before?
We have brought community agencies in.
We brought community agencies in. We allow them to speak.
We had Sunnylands here in February. Trustee Sanchez Fulton, you brought people in. I mean, we've had people come in.
That's one of our greatest strengths. We bring in trustee.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but that's okay. We'll work on it if we need to work on that. This is our board's greatest strength. We provide outstanding outreach activities through our monthly newsletter. Someone keeps their district involved. That's excellent. We have excellent strategies for involving our community. The board has had and continues to maintain strong relationships with the citizens, agencies, and organizations in the communities served by the district. I know we've had them in the past, but I know we try to keep those open. Okay, going down. Oh, okay, there we are, okay. Policy direction, the board requires long-range strategic planning. 4.2. The board is appropriately involved in the planning process. 4.2. The board is familiar with the general strategic and master plans of the institution. 4.2. And there is ongoing long-range strategic planning. The board needs to be kept informed of all planning and to continue to encourage and support community-wide planning. Very, very important. This is an area that we are beginning to work through again as we prepare for a potential bond. However, not all board members are familiar with the full scope of the general strategic and master plan, as it has been several years since this was last done. And we're working on that now. And I think all the board members will be more and more involved in that and understand more. Whoa! You have to pass. I didn't read the third one. After years of crisis management, the board is now able to focus on long-range planning. The superintendent president has assisted the board in this area. Okay, board CEO relationships. A climate of mutual trust and respect exists between the board and CEO. 4.2, the board sets clear expectations for the CEO. 4, the board effectively evaluates the CEO. 4.2, the board clearly delegates the administration of the college to the CEO. And comments, the board and the CEO are only as strong and as effective as their relationship. The best way for the board to be effective is for their CEO to have positive and effective working conditions. The only way that the board can provide these conditions is if there are clear communications and respect for the board of trustees and the CEO. Our frequent, honest, and respectful evaluations help both sides to fulfill their roles. Formal evaluation is beneficial to maintaining this area clearly. Educating the board in internal workings can help in this area and policy role as well. There needs to be more acknowledgement of the board by the president and staff. Our CEO represents the board in the daily administration of the college and its policies. He has exceeded our expectations in transforming our college into 21st century educational destination for the Coachella Valley residents. The board's expectations for the CEO could be better defined and developed. The board has discussed seeking a new evaluation procedure for the CEO, but has yet to do so. Standards for college operation. The board assures that the budget reflects college priorities in the mission and the goals of the strategic plan. 4.6. The board assures that student access and success and institutional effectiveness are priorities in mission and goals of the strategic plan. 4.8. The board is supportive of efforts to improve teaching and learning. 4.8. Perhaps because this board has so many individuals that are involved in education, past and present, we have been able to keep focused on the ultimate goal of providing the highest quality of education to all of our students. The board assures that all resources are focused on the mission and goals of the strategic plan. Student success and teaching, learning are the priority of the board. Institutional effectiveness. The board monitors the effectiveness of the college in fulfilling the mission. 3.8. Maybe we need to work harder on that. The board requires the college to regularly evaluate program effectiveness. 4.6. The board regularly reviews reports on student learning outcomes. 4.6. The board reviews accountability reports to state and federal agencies. 4.4. The board has made great strides in this area by looking inward at what our college has been able to do for our students, as well as learning what improvements can be made. Our dashboard indicators are data-driven, and these needs are successes that can be communicated to our constituency. This last year, we finalized an annual calendar that enables us to stay on track and ensure that reports and evaluations will be done on time. Institutional effectiveness is very important to the board. The numerous reports related to institutional effectiveness are regularly scheduled to be presented to and studied by the board. Board leadership. The board understands its roles and responsibilities, 4.2. The board adheres to a code of ethics or standards of practice, 3.2. I wonder if that might be lower because we don't have a clear-cut code of ethics with consequences. I don't know.
Could be. That's worth looking at, our code of ethics, and looking at what the league suggests and seeing what we can do, because they usually have a good compilation of.
So it is a state.
Yeah, they kind of have samples.
Yeah.
You could go through an online for every elected official in the state of California. They have an ethics training that we could all, I would highly recommend that we all take it. It's online at your own.
I do, and turn in my certificate.
And return in your certificate. Oh, so,
Yeah,
great.
we do that every few years.
Madam Chair, do you remember what the double asterisk stands for? I've seen that in a couple of the statements. You see, like, the bottom statement has the 2 asterisks. Do you remember what that? No? I saw that on some of the previous statements. Okay.
I think it's
The
a
board
typo.
works to build positive relationships with all stakeholders, 4.8.
You're tired.
Through its behavior, the board has set a positive example for the CEO and other employees. I'm going up from the bottom because I got lost at the top. I'm
You were
sorry.
bored. Okay.
I'm sorry. I got lost where I was because I looked at the asterisk. You want me to go from the
No,
from
you're
where I
fine.
was?
I was
Are
just
we
being
going from the
amused.
bottom up now?
However, I was just
I'm on
amused.
this one. Through its behavior, the board has set a positive example for the CEO and other employees. 4.2, the one above it, the board maintains confidentiality of privileged information, 4.6. Once a decision is made, board members cease debate and uphold the decision of the board, 4.6. The board accommodates the differences of opinion that arise during debates of issues, 4.8. Board members are adequately prepared and participate in board meetings, 4.2. I guess some of us realize we might fall asleep during meetings because they're so exciting. The board works together in a spirit of harmony, unity, and cooperation to accomplish the work of the board, 4.2. And we did that other one before. So going back down to comments, I'll try to go in the correct order from now on. Educating and simulated practice and review could help. Training in internal operations could also help. It is an honor and privilege to serve with my fellow board members. Overall, the board fulfills its duties and responsibilities effectively. The board provides positive leadership for the district. Board members support the colleges by attending various events, 4.8. The board helps educate the local community about community college needs and issues, 4.4. The board advocates college interests to state and national agencies and legislators, 4.4. The board works to secure adequate public funding, 4.4. The board actively supports the college's foundation and fundraising efforts, 4.6. Comments. It would be great to have ongoing town hall meetings and board meetings in the various communities, and positive press would be appreciated. It is at least 6 or 7 years since a number of board members met in the locale, where our state and national legislators conduct their business. Often the board lets the foundation take the lead, and sometimes we have failed to follow. The board effectively advocates on behalf of the district college at all levels. Board of Education. New board members receive an orientation to the board and the institution. 2.8. That is one of the things that, if you remember, Trustee Sanchez and myself are going to be trying to put something together. Perhaps in another couple of weeks here we can get going on that full time. Board members are engaged in a continuous process of training and development, 4.6. The board is knowledgeable about state and national laws and issues related to community colleges, 4.4. The board is knowledgeable about major social and economic trends and issues that affect the institution, 4.4. The board adequately studies issues prior to board action, 4.4. The board annually evaluates itself, 4.6.
We do almost always.
A community has already been established to develop an orientation packet for new board members. It is hoped this will become a standing committee that rotates, updating and reviewing materials. Ongoing education and training for the members of the board continues to be a priority for the board. And what are the board's greatest strengths? There should be an S on that when you make that typo correction. The board is deeply committed to the people of the community. They are constantly acting as a voice of the community as well as carrying information about the college out to the community. The board has worked on ways to involve the community in discussion of issues that impact the community. The board's diversity in background, yet single focus on goal is commendable. We do work as a team, even if we do not agree with each other. The decision is made and we move on. Our greatest strengths are A, board advocates and represents the community they serve and represent. Board effectively supports the college's mission of student success and accreditation, ensures budget reflex. Sets policy in an effective manner, robust, honest, and respect of fellow trustees. The board's passion for the college to fulfill its mission to serve the students and the needs of the community. And the next section, what are the major accomplishments of the board in this past year? We improved our study session presentation schedule so that it better reflected the school and fiscal calendar, assisting the board to be able to make informed decisions. Improved our agenda so that we can be more effective trustees. Worked with our CEO so that the board goals and the administrative team's goals were well aligned. Supported the expansion of our COD classes so that students were better served in location and number of seats available and in targeted sections being offered to students. These additions enable student success and should help improve the transition of COD students from our institution to the future of their choice. Format of financial documents in readable and very understandable, straightforward manner for board agenda packets. Thank you, Lisa. Preparation of board calendar. This past year, the members of the board have worked hard to become a real team, putting the college and the students first and foremost. Foundation special fundraisers brought in over $3 million. The 24-month Student Success Initiative, increasing faculty, winter and summer sessions, opening our Indio campus, offering more class offerings or sections, enacting Summer College Edge Readiness Initiative, approving budget, increased transfer rate, creating meaningful career and technical programs that our students and our local economy need, creating more partnerships with local employers and organizations, increased class offerings, programs, services at all of the college locations in the Coachella Valley, opening new and updated buildings and facilities to meet the current and future needs of the college. What are the areas in which the board could improve? The board needs to continue its efforts to make well-informed decisions, furthering institutional effectiveness. Referring back to 1C, the board needs to have some standing committees, i.e. policy review. This would also keep board members more familiar with the policy. 8 and 10, board leadership and education, community outreach. And 9, advocating for the college, working closer with the foundation and other elected officials. Need to further outreach to the eastern Coachella Valley. Need to visit mobile home parks and talk with the communities. We can work with organizations like Building Healthy Communities to arrange for town hall meetings to go one-on-one with communities to outreach. We should have board meetings in locations throughout our district. We should have evening meetings instead of morning meetings so we can serve all of our working populations we serve and represent. Receive in a timely manner that we get a calendar of events of our college. More open communication from the chair. orientation training for new trustees. Continue to strive to set a positive leadership model for the college. Require more frequent and detailed information updates from the CEO. What are one or two most important changes you think we need to make to improve our board meetings and or other functions? Reports. Board reports should be more informative and not just a list of when, what, where. Examples, what I learned, what was read, new legislation, student success stories, training, etc. Board members could provide for recommendations on board presentations. That has been eliminated, and board does not appear to have input on presentations. What 3 to 5 issues do you feel the board should make its priorities in the coming year to encourage identification and support work towards solutions for obstacles, our community college students face, such as funding and transportation, to continue to support student classes and student services throughout our community, to continue to encourage research and support the selected improvements to help students successfully navigate the educational components of community college experience, to review our board goals and identify measurable steps that can be made toward goals that have not been obtained. I guess referring back to number 3, community relations, community outreach and positive press. Number 4, policy direction, review policies, strategic plan and master plan. 8 and 10, board leadership and education, develop orientation packet for new board members and internal training. 2 and 5, policy role in board CEO relations, need training and application practice in this area. We also need to keep evaluations scheduled for ourselves and CEO. Increasing outreach to Eastern Coachella Valley, increasing opportunities for students to be able to take the classes they need, work to increase efforts to develop more relationships with employers, increase workshops for trustees to understand local challenges in the communities, accreditation, master plan, strategic planning of our master plan. Additional comments. We are extremely fortunate to have such a hardworking, educated, concerned, and dedicated board. The diversity and years of experience each member brings is outstanding. There needs to be an increase in efforts by the president and the executive staff to acknowledge the Board of Trustees. This would include printed materials and videos about COD. There is a very clear hole in this area. And our student trustee, you want us to do these to the community?
That's fine.
I think they look good. Is punctual to and attends all meetings to conclusion, 4.8. Is prepared and participates in discussions, 4.8. Takes advantage of training opportunities, 4.8. Now, we have no way of knowing your academic standard for 2.0 GPA.
Right.
So people don't participate. So that score is probably
That's probably invalid because
invalid,
we never voted
totally,
it all.
because we don't have
invalid.
access to your
And
grades.
so, and
okay?
we don't, and
And
the
if you didn't-
process is to divide by the number of people,
Yeah,
and so we just need to delete that
we
because
need
that,
to delete that
that
one.
is,
But not only that, if she didn't have a 2.0, she would not be able to
that's
serve.
what I'm saying.
And I'm sure your GPA is higher than that, right?
So
Advocates for
we
the
need to take
student
that off.
populace and reflects the student community which he or she serves, 4.8. The College Board provides appropriate training for the student trustee. Now, this isn't a reflection on us. I want you to know that, not you, okay? Example, the Brown Act and Robert Rules of Order. The college/board, you get trained probably with your, with ASCOT, right, the student government, but not by us. And that is our failing, not yours, okay? What are the major accomplishments of the student trustee this year? Our student trustee has been very good about expressing the concerns of the students and representing college policies from the student point of view. This input helps us all see the big picture. We have previously been very fortunate with student trustees. They take their role and responsibilities very seriously and partake in all training opportunities made available to them. Our present student trustee is no exception. She is always a voice for the students. Eleanor has done a good job of presenting concerns of students. She is not shy about discussing her opinions in the Board of Trustees meetings. The student trustee is extremely effective in representing the needs, interests, and concerns of the students. She takes full advantage of all opportunities to attend training, to represent the students at college, state, and national events. Very good.
So, could
Yes.
we take take the student trustees part of that evaluation, delete the part that we meant to delete, but it was just already there,
Yes.
and maybe print out those comments and that high score together and give it to her? so
With a
that-
nice letter signed
With
by
a
the
nice letter
members of the
saying,
board.
thank you for all the hard work and many hours go in her.
And that would be very nice. So I can't ask for a recommendation because it's not been agendized. I can take a recommendation under my thing, but I cannot ask
No,
for a vote.
So,
Advisement,
You could hear your constituents and then
do
do something.
something, okay.
Your constituents are speaking, we agree.
Okay, so that will, what we will do with the board self-evaluation is in planning a retreat for possibly this summer, which we are hope to be able to do. We will utilize this information and those items that receive the lowest scores and those items that people recommended will be the things that we will try to target if there are no objections. Is that agreeable? Okay, student services. This is study session material. You're finally on. You have approximately 10 minutes before we all go to sleep. No. I'm so sorry. We have our Executive Vice President, Anna Davis, Student Success and Student Learning.
Good afternoon. Yes, I can feel the energy is perhaps dwindling a little bit after a long day of focused discussions, but I'm actually really happy to get to talk to you a little bit about a training session that I was able to do with Trustee Broughton last month to improve our awareness and refresh our memories on the broad myriad of student support services available to students at this college. Over the last year, we've focused a lot on increasing the number of classes that we've been able to offer to students, and we focused a lot on access. And we've been celebrating the results of that. It's not often that we remember that the increase in students on campus has an effect on student support services as well, and that what we have been able to accomplish in our student support services programs this last year has been very, very, very impressive. The work that the counseling department has done to move towards the SSSP requirements, which is the Student Success and Support Program, the work that they've done to help us develop an equity plan and to work with faculty to begin to develop strategies to open their doors to more students. All in all, the student services programs here have done yeoman's work, outstanding work over the last year. So I'm happy to just kind of walk through mostly the programs in this building. What you won't see in this presentation are library and learning resources, because I'm hoping that in the future we can have a focused discussion on those programs. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and see if I can get this to work. So you might be aware of a term called categorically funded programs. So categorically funded programs are those programs which the state of California allocates to each community college in its base budget, but restricts the use of those funds. And so the categorical programs that we see here are the 3SP, which I referred to earlier, Student Support Services. We used to call that matriculation. And that includes assessment, orientation, educational planning, and counseling. We have a MESA program on our campus. Not every college in California has a MESA program. There are a restricted number of those programs, so we're very fortunate to have that here. The CalWorks program, which is a California Work Opportunity and Responsibility to Kids program. EOP&S program, as well as a CARE, and of course the Disabled Students Programs and Services. So all of those dollars are allocated to the college through the budgeting process at the state level, and are then placed into restricted use funds here locally. So just quickly review assessment. You know that with the new expectations at the state level about assessment, orientation, and educational planning, assessment has become a large activity on our campus. We we have a allocation number there for you to see the dollars that are invested in that program annually. I want to acknowledge that those are 1213 numbers. Those was the latest annual budget dollars that we could give you. And we have one full-time staff and student workers that man our assessment center and are open throughout the year to allow students to come to campus and to take their assessments and place into their curriculum. Orientation, with the passage of AB 1456, all students must complete an orientation to be eligible for priority registration. Students do not have to take the orientation. It is not mandatory, but if they want to have priority registration, it is a required activity. So it's an important distinction. We are now in the process of implementing an online orientation, which Amanda Phillips has been really critical in leading those efforts. Due to manpower shortages, online orientation is a technology solution that seems to make sense. And so Amanda's been working with the counseling department and other staff to develop the content for that orientation, and they were videotaping here on campus, I think about 6 weeks ago. And we'll have that hopefully online for fall, and then a student can complete their orientation anywhere they are because it's a web-based program.
I have a question for you. It seems at that conference they mentioned there was a video that I'd like to share with you, Anna, on when will they have that one-to-one? I think I love technology and I'm a big believer in technology, but that one-to-one service with the student, making you feel like you're part of the COD family, is so critical. Is there going to be an element of that for the fall 2015?
That element is the educational planning component. And if Amanda's over my shoulder, she can throw a rock at the back of my head if I misspeak. But because we have limited numbers of counselors and their hours are precious and the demands are high, the department has moved in a direction to use online application, online orientation, and then the educational planning component is where a counselor and a student are going to sit down together and really begin to map out their first semester or first year, and then throughout their program.
You know that the online thing will be a huge help to some students. That coming in is an obstacle. Are we remembering as we put it together that internet connections on the edges of the valley and the
Yes.
hinterlands where I live are not so good?
Yes, and all of our locations, West Valley is probably the exception. We have computer labs. We have.
So they can come and
they can come to campus and do the online orientation if they lack access at home. Of course. Yeah.
Anna, will the orientation also be done in Spanish?
The online orientation is not currently available in a bilingual format.
Is there some discussion about that?
No, the online orientation is for credit classes only. There's a separate orientation.
There's a separate process for ESL non-credit or for ABE or GED prep non-credit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So since we offer no bilingual credit courses, it didn't make a lot of sense to have a bilingual orientation to not bilingual courses.
Okay.
But we do provide bilingual I call it matriculation still, orientation assessment for ESL non-credit, which is a large program, very large program.
Thank you.
Stay right here. And then educational planning. It's a critical function. Our counselors play an integral part of the students' introduction to what is expected in the college experience and what type of courses might help them move towards their educational goals. We had 6 full-time counselors when this was originally done, but I believe right now we have increased that to 9. Is that correct?
With 4 temporaries, we have
10. So we're up to 10. Now, 4 of those are funded by the increase in matriculation dollars that has come to us through the 3SP program. So that's been very good news for us to be able to increase the number of counselors.
What was the count on the counselors?
In general counseling, we have 10. And then we have counselors in our other special programs.
Okay, thank you.
And isn't there some kind of funding attached to them having an ed plan on file?
Yes. If we are not able to make our baseline for educational planning, in other words, if we can't demonstrate the activities, then the money that has come to us will be adjusted. Yeah. So they've allowed us about a year to adjust to the new level of funding because it was quite a dramatic increase. But moving forward now, there's an expectation that we will maintain a certain level of service.
And students can access their ed plan online. Now everything is online for them.
Yes, the ed plan is online and it is interactive with their declared major, and they can access it through their web advisor.
So they can make a change if they take this course instead of that course and see what happens.
They can make a change, and they can even ask a counselor to take a look at it over the phone, and the counselor can access it separately and approve the change or give different advice.
Very good, thank you.
And that's also going to help us because as we're moving towards a more sophisticated technology solution for educational planning, we will be able to pull better data out to know what students need, and then we can help inform our scheduling practices using that real data. So it's really going to be helpful to have their declared major and also their course taking patterns. Okay, so counseling. I can't say enough about the work that they've done this year. We've really opened the floodgates in terms of adding classes, and they have responded so well. And they've put some things into place that have helped direct students to services and rely a little bit less on the counselor paper process. So I really want to congratulate them. And again, we've increased the numbers since this. These were numbers for 2 years ago, so you can just imagine that these numbers have gone up significantly. Okay, the MESA program. MESA program is a grant-funded program. It's a math, engineering, science achievement. It is intended to help those students who are pursuing majors in the math, engineering, and science pathways. This program brings a state allocation of about $50,000, and we have a full-time faculty who serves as a MESA director, and we have, in addition to him, a part-time staff, and they serve around 200 students every year working towards that pipeline. CalWorks program. This program assists single parents receiving cash aid from the state or the county. And the intention is to, as Dr. Kinnaman said in a presentation I was with him at this morning, to change the trajectory of their economic viability, to really help them pursue an educational path that will allow them to break a cycle of poverty. So these students work closely with our counseling staff and their county or state worker as well, and they work together to develop educational plans and promote their progress through their programs. Our local program receives about $175,000 a year. We have a full-time faculty counselor as well as a staff person. And at that point, 2 years ago, we were serving 175 students. That number has gone up since. So we are probably now I would anticipate we are over 200 students a year. EOP&S, Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, and CARE, Cooperative Agencies Resources for Education. So now you know all the acronyms, right? You can carry this PowerPoint around with you, and you can show everybody what we've learned. EOP&S offers over and above support services with students who are coming from social, economic, and educationally disadvantaged families or communities. And what over and above means is that the counseling that they receive in EOP&S does not replace the counseling they receive in the general counseling office. Oftentimes we think, well, if they're in EOP&S, then they don't ever go to general counseling, and so we should consider those as collaborative resources, but that's not the case. The work that's done in EOP&S is over and above, and it doesn't supplant the services that we see in the counseling department. So as we need to build our counseling cadre, we really need to look at them as a separate resource than our other special programs, because they are over and above services. Carol Lesquade will be proud of me for being able to articulate
I can hear her
that.
screaming from here.
Anna, what percentages of our students are in EOP and CARE? Do you have numbers to reflect which ones are in MESA?
I can get you current year numbers because that's probably more meaningful for you, but we serve probably less than 200 students in EOP&S, I would anticipate. A little more than that, but it's really limited to the funding that we get, right? So we're only able to serve X number of students. There are twofold, threefold, fourfold eligible, interested students, but we're not able to serve them all because our budget is very much capped. Okay. and I may have numbers in here. Yeah, EOP&S and care. So we received in 12-13, $365,000 plus a college match of $120,000 to support 3 full-time faculty and staff, a part-time staff, and some student workers. So there, we served 297 2 years ago. So I was wrong. We're much higher than that. And of the 297 in that year, 47 also participated in care. And
Now, let's say a student doesn't get, I didn't qualify, a lot of my students that I hear here at the college, they apply and they don't get selected. Is there a wait list? What happens with that student that wants to be part of that?
Every semester they do an application for the space that they have. So if there is space, if all the slots fill up in the fall and then there's space for spring, they reopen applications, they fill up those spots. So a student has an opportunity every term, every semester to try to get back into that program. But the waiting lists are certainly in excess of the capacity that we have. And I will say about EOP&S and care and all the other programs that we're going to run through, they work. Specially funded programs work because they provide over and above services. It's high touch. They're also not able to serve the number of students that need them because the money is capped and it's limited. So we do have a gap there. All right, DSPS, we know this program well. Recently, Dr. Leslie Young stepped in and started working with our DSPS program to help provide services to students with eligible disabilities. At that point, their budget was $726,000, and the college also contributed about $450,000. Those numbers have gone up dramatically. The state allocation has increased, recognizing the need for services, and the college's allocation, I believe, has increased slightly as well. At that point in time, there were 3 full-time and 18 part-time staff. Most of those were interpreters, I believe, so that's why you see a high number. And they served at that point almost 700 students, and of the 700 students, you can see that they represented over 11,000 contacts. So individually, every time a student came in, so a student would be seen several times. You can see that a student would be seen several times a year.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Just so the board knows, and that money that the district contributes goes to what is called district effort.
Yeah.
Which comes back to the college in more funding for DSPS. So if every dollar the college contributes, about 50 cents a year comes back in the next year in the allocation.
Yep, and we also have some areas of the curriculum that are identified as having special curriculum available for students with disabilities that also generates FTES. And so that's also a contributing factor directly related to DSPS, but not often seen as attached to them. So it's another way that the college benefits from that program. In addition to the state categoricals, we have all kinds of federal grant programs here. We're lucky enough to have 4 TRIO programs. We have recently reapplied, and we actually applied for a new TRIO grant called the TRIO Veterans Grant. If we receive that 5th TRIO grant, I've been told by Scott Cooper that we will be one of one in the country that has 5 TRIOs, one of one community college, which would be very exciting for us. So you know our TRIO programs. They are all geared towards first-generation, economically disadvantaged students. Our Upward Bound program serves local high schools. Our ACES, DSPS, and EVC serve students attending full-time courses here or part-time courses here, and they all are emphasized on increasing persistence and completion.
I have a question. I see the TRIO, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. I see that you have TRIO EVC East Valley Campus. Is there going to be, we still have those communities out in Desert Hot Springs, which would qualify under that. Have we looked into that regarding the West Valley?
You know, that's a really good question, and I want to do some follow-up before I answer because I'm not clear enough on that application. I haven't read it recently enough to be able to tell you. So let me do some follow-up, and I will certainly get back to you.
Thank you.
And then we have other...
These run in 5-year cycles.
They do.
There was a point in time, if I remember correctly, that you could not apply after so many cycles. Is that still the case? You were only allowed to apply so many times, then you may have to get the TRIO grants?
No, that's not my understanding. Okay. That TRIO is competitive every cycle in
it can
college.
Go on forever.
In fact, colleges get preference points if they're already a TRIO program. Okay. So we have the advantage of already having TRIO programs. Yeah. And then we have federal grant programs. We have Title V programs. We have had Title III programs in the past. And then we have other federal grant programs like the Perkins, which brings dollars specifically for career and technical education, or activities that support career and technical education students, like counseling or other support services.
And Perkins grants for a while kind of disappeared from the world, not from us particularly, but they became much less, especially in high schools. Is it still that way? Have they recovered?
Perkins dollars?
Yeah, Perkins dollars. I
You-
heard lots of.
Yeah, it's
Right.
reauthorized about I think every 5 years they reauthorize the Perkins dollars, and I think it has ebbed and flowed. And then the state does a division of those to K-12 and to community colleges. I don't know whether our allocation has fluxed much,
That's
really,
what I'm saying.
Becky.
I haven't heard it as much here as I heard it in K-12.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's around the ROP, maybe the
Yeah, it
ROP
could be.
discussion at that level, yeah. So I'm trying to move quickly through these so I don't lose everybody. So I'll give you a little bit of information about each of the TRIO programs. Right now, we have TRIO Upward Bound. We have a new director, Angel Mraz, who's busy helping us get that program moving forward for the next academic year. We have TRIO ACES that is led by Adele Bynum, and her work with students to help them move forward to graduate and transfer as well. Lori Mann is currently the coordinator of our DSPS TRIO program, working with students to help them increase their progress and transfer preparation. And then we have the East Valley, same out there, where we're focusing on academic and career counseling, helping students to prepare for transfer on the Mecca Thermal campus as well as in Indio. And I know your question is, what Desert Hot Springs? I see it. I can see that question coming.
So there's a program that all the UCs and Cal States have, and we used to have it at College of the Desert, I think about 10 years, Puente.
Yes.
What is the update on that? Are we going to ever come back to that? I don't know, those that are new to the college, maybe they don't know, but are we ever going to go back to Puente?
Puente programs are not specific California community college programs. You're correct. They are a statewide national program, if you will, that develops learning communities around counseling and typically an English program. In the last year, that conversation has not emerged, although I think it still can be had. And it may be appropriate for us, given the population that we serve and the demographics of our community, to really move in that direction. Although the focus at the state level, and really the national focus, and you've heard a little bit about that at your recent conference, is on how do you scale these services? How do you create services that you can open the door to everybody, rather than limit to these 200 students get it, but maybe those 4,000 students don't get it. So I think that's what we have to talk about, is how do we build that program or other programs in a way that really broadens access for students. And then we have, you may know, we have a book lending program in our CTE programs sponsored by the Perkins Act. This is a very unique program, and I think one that we don't often talk about, but does serve students very well in allowing them to check out books and then turn those back in to be used later. So that's health services is next. I wanted to just briefly touch on health services. Students pay a $16 health fee. Has that gone up since, Carlos? 19 now. Okay, so we increased it. I know, thank you, students. But those funds are used to serve students through health and psychological services, and we have a student health program in this building. We have an assistant director, Elizabeth Gould, who does a wonderful job of helping work with Carlos to develop services to students, open doors, and provide basic health, and then psychological services by appointment. So they do physical, mental, and emotional health services. The clinic has nurses on staff. We also have mental health professionals on site making appointments with students. And we have a licensed physician who acts as our physician of record. Is that what I want to call them? Our official doctor for the college. At $16, we were generating that $417,000. That's gone up. It's gone up because the health fee's gone up, and it's gone up because we have more students. So we are able to expand services, although a common concern expressed that I've heard is that students do not have access potentially to services in the evening as much as they might, we need to grow services now in the East Valley, and we need to grow services in the West Valley. And so now the challenge for us is, how do we duplicate these services in facility as well as in staffing in a way that serves our students across the entire valley? That is a challenge that these services are undertaking. They're giving serious consideration to how to do that, and they've made great progress in Indio over the last year. We have health services now available out in the East Valley. Student life, I'm going to brag about Carlos's work a little bit. ASCOD provides a forum for students to engage in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. We have an active student senate, and they participate at the state level. Carlos travels with them often and helps support their work. We also coordinate student clubs and activities out of that office, and so the events that we see on campus, the club rush, all of those wonderful activities are organized out of student life. They also oversee the student game room and the student lounge, and they issue ID cards and have helped us with the information booth here in the Cravens building when there's been peak periods, which has been very helpful. They also do campus visits for prospective students and oftentimes lead tours for those students. What is not on here, but should be updated, is that Carlos is also leading the effort to pilot the Student Ambassador Program. And that's a program where students who meet certain eligibility requirements will be given training and a uniform and asked to participate as a student leader officially on behalf of the college. And so that's a program that's emerging. There are only a couple of warriors over in student life. Carlos is one of them. He's got another full-time staff and then a part-time staff. So they rely heavily on student workers, and they work very hard to help things keep moving for our students. And their annual funding was about $325,000 in 2012. We do have other services that are funded by the college. I'm not going to talk a lot about them, but I'd like to circle back at a future time and let you learn more about them. And those are academic and the Academic Skills Center, the Veteran Services Program, and Career and Transfer Center. You have a little bit of information in here, but I won't spend too much time on them. You've heard a lot about our Veterans Program lately, and you know, if you've ever gone into the Veteran Center across the hall, they do fantastic things. They're a very active group, and led by Donnie Prince, and Sandy Hoff also provides counseling. They've been very successful in working with the foundation to garner student scholarship dollars. We have a Career and Transfer Center, which we are really trying to focus on expanding, so that students have more access to career counseling, but also job opportunities in the Valley. A lot of times businesses contact us and say that they're looking for employees, but we don't have a completely well-organized way to get information out to students quickly. So we need to work on that a little bit. Some of the priorities over the last year, when I got here a year ago, we were 2 weeks away from opening a building in Indio, and busy dealing with the 3SP requirements and changing registration, and there's a lot of things happening. So these priorities are evolving all the time, but some of the themes that we've seen over the last year is that we really want to reestablish outreach. It was difficult to get to outreach during the lean years, but we want to really look at rebuilding connections with our K-12 partners. We've done that some through dual and concurrent enrollment growth, but we also want to be more accessible on campus. We also want to expand our services in the East Valley, and like I said, we've made good progress on that. We still have some work to do there, and then we need to start talking about West Valley campus and what services might look like out there. Want to expand career and transfer services. We have expanded our counseling services, and we're very proud of that. And we want to get assessment testing cycles reestablished, where where we know when a high school is going to come and do their assessments, so that we can plan for that in a more measured way and spread those things over the course of a year, rather than having everybody come at once and then have a bottleneck in assessment. So we could in the future encourage every 12th grader to come and take the assessment here if it was appropriate, so that even if they weren't planning to come to College of the Desert, they'd have the experience of assessment, and if something changed, they could come on short notice, they could come to College of the Desert and register for classes. And then the Student Ambassador Program, which I talked to you a little bit about earlier. So the things I just want to leave you with are that the work done in the building that we're in today, the Cravens building, all day, every day, all year is amazing. The students that come here, whether it's international programs, which I didn't even talk about, or the A&R program or financial aid, they are touching hundreds and hundreds and thousands of students every term, and they are working towards making College of the Desert not a college that expects students to come college ready, but a college who is student ready. And I'm really proud to be working with them. There are several new managers in this building, but I am very impressed with their work, and I think that as you get to know them and you get to hear some of the student experiences, you're going to hear how things are really opening up for them in this building, and that's very exciting. So I know it's been a long day, but I really appreciate your time, and if you would like follow-up information, I would be happy to track it down for you.
Just one quick question on the assessment. We no longer do them at the high school sites? We did do them.
Okay, so we do assess at the high schools, particularly for the dual and concurrent enrollment programs. We don't do the large testing center type of test that we did before with, 100 students in a gym testing. It didn't provide them a consistent testing environment, which they get here.
That was always a concern, yes.
It was an issue, as well as the internet connectivity when we offer the assessment test off campus from the Desert Sands or whatever district they're at. From their computer system, they have to then access our site for the assessment test, and it has to have a very good connection. And what typically happened is that our assessment testing specialist was running around reconnecting students with 100 in a gym until they were all done. It just provides a better testing environment for us to arrange times for them to come here.
Okay. I'm sure scores have improved.
What about other districts? You just told us about Desert Sands. How did it work with others? Same thing wherever?
It's the same thing for all three districts. They all have, pretty closed firewalls, I would say. Like the limitations of being a school district means that their computer systems are very tight, and it does make that difficult.
So maybe if we embrace even parts of this early assessment program, the high schools will be doing, the state will be doing the work for us, for at least one or two tiers of the students.
Yeah, absolutely. And some districts in the state are going to what's called the multiple measures rather than a standardized test, where they will do the research on their local high schools and they'll discover what are the characteristics that equate to college ready. So perhaps it's grade point average and the last class they took in math or the last class they took in English. And that completely eliminates the need for a student to then assess. So that student can then, if it's a local high school graduate, they can just progress right into the curriculum. So we're starting some of those conversations, but this is certainly an area where we need to talk about how to leverage our resources across a very large valley and 3-4 locations in the future.
I'm very excited about our Summer Edge program. Isn't that a federally funded program, Anna?
Well, it is not. We have used restricted funds to kickstart that program, but there is no federal Edge program. That's really a program that we designed here locally, and once that program is scaled, we will likely institutionalize that program through allocating general fund resources on an ongoing basis.
Now, we're having it, I just want to be clear, in the East Valley campus, main campus, and in Palm Springs for this summer. I just want to be very, is that
that is
the case?
correct. And Amanda can give me an elbow if I misspeak. So what we asked the team to do was to expand to West Valley, East Valley, and Palm Desert. Last year we were only in the East Valley and Palm Desert. So this year the goal was to get to West Valley. They did an analysis of the space available in the summer. They looked at needing high quality wireless internet access. They needed a computer lab, and they needed lecture classrooms. And so when they looked at the available space, Palm Springs High School floated to the top, and they have scheduled sections at Palm Springs High School. They're currently working, and Amanda can give a little more detail, currently working with the principal at Desert Hot Springs to get students registered into that class.
Yeah, the community concerns, I've received a lot of emails from the community saying Desert Hot Springs. Why were we not chosen versus Palm Springs? I'm just curious, just because of the community concerns that I've received.
Well, this is our first entry into the West Valley, and so for a couple reasons. One, we do already have established, I would say, transportation patterns to Palm Springs High School, as well as a well-established relationship with Palm Springs in terms of using their facilities. So when we ask about facilities and we make those agreements, they were able to give us the ideal facility. With the classrooms all in one area and basically a closed-off area for the EDGE, despite the fact that this is during their summer school. So during summer school, Palm Springs High School was able to give us an EDGE area designated. So that is our hope. We do have 120 spots in there. If, depending on how well that goes and depending on need and availability of space, there's chances for next summer to offer even more edges. But right now we do have room for 780 students through the summer. 120 are in Palm Springs. I believe we have 2 full sessions in Indio and 2 full sessions in Palm Desert.
So nothing in Mecca yet?
No. And we don't offer summer classes in Mecca, so that's somewhat consistent with that practice. And what we're going to do this year is, after we're done, is we'll assess whether or not further expansion can be done in a way that broadens access for students.
Well, as much as I love Indio, it's a long walk from Oasis.
That's true.
It really is.
It really is, yeah.
And I'll just say, we're in our 4th year of EDGE. And how many students did we take in the first year?
36.
So in 4 years, we've gone from 36 students to 780.
There's a huge increase, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I really want to acknowledge Amanda and her staff. And Annabelle as well. They really have worked hard to scale this very quickly, and we will continue to look for opportunities to further scale and broaden access.
And as much as I like using our own campuses in the East Valley, maybe our Mecca Thermal campus, while we're not using it in the summer, isn't the location. We do have 2 high schools, one that we're doing an upward bound in. We still have a newer high school, which is Desert Mirage, which is actually more centrally located. That's true. Yes. Might be a choice.
Might be.
For when you get ready to expand
Yep.
into that area.
Our goal is to provide access to a section of EDGE for every student who needs it, and give them the opportunity to enroll in the
So
future.
we're seeing it sometime in Mecca and sometime for Desert Hot Springs eventually?
I think we're going to keep assessing the need and expanding to the point where we're affording it where it's needed and to whom it's needed. Yes, that's our goal.
I'd like to thank you for saying how many hundreds and hundreds and thousands of students that this building has touched, because I know that the Cravings, Donald and Peggy Cravings, that was their goal, to reach those students. And so I really appreciate you putting that in there, as I'm sure they will have, if they hear this. At this time, let me remind the board, we were going to go back into closed session for a few moments.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your presentation. That was excellent. It really, really was.
Thank you.
And so at this time, we're going to recess back to closed session for a few minutes. Okay?
Can they disband?
Anticipate any action at all, so just to let everybody know.
And
I will come back and report out and then adjourn the meeting.
But Angela, know that the timing sure close up the minutes.
Yes. Thank you.